reaction feed. So we're not recording yet, but we're going live.
With OBS?
With OBS, yes.
I could be playing Yakuza right now, instead of watching Raw or recording a podcast.
And I could be playing Octopath Traveler, but we can't get what we want.
Alrighty, well, this has been fun, and until next time.
Just waiting for everything
I'm addicted to Yakuza 0, dude. Like, I'm addicted to it.
It's an addicting franchise for a reason, man.
And, like, I get... I'm not gonna lie, sometimes when there's a cutscene and I'm like, this will take 20 minutes, I pull out my phone.
Nope.
What was that?
It's like, nope. It won't take 20 minutes.
Sometimes they do, though.
Oh. Oh, you mean... Okay, you mean the... Okay, I thought you were referring to, like, how long you'd be playing the game in sessions.
Yeah, no, the cutscenes, dude. It's like, there's a cutscene now, time to pull out my phone.
Yeah.
I appreciate what the game's trying to do, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's really freaking good. Gameplay is smooth. I'm not exactly great at combat yet. It's still kicking my ass from time to time, but...
Yeah, I hear you there.
I figured out that if I have food on me, though, like I heal, and therefore like I'm always carrying toughness or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only really the boss fights I'm having trouble with.
Alright, everything's connected. So...
I'm Mr. Shakedown. Mr. Shakedown can go screw himself.
You're recording your own audio, correct?
Do you want me to?
Yes, please.
Damn.
Quality
Okay.
purposes.
Yeah. Okay, give me a minute. Have you watched today's BTA? Have you watched today's BTA?
No, not yet.
The elite. How do I mic sensitivity again? Open sound settings.
Levels.
Hmm.
Go to your levels.
Yeah, I'm fixing that now. It's got to be to front mic, real tech. Sound. Is there a way to lower my microphone's input or not? I forgot how to do it.
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Ah, okay.
So, a lot of this we've already discussed on your podcast, luckily.
So we're going to go over it again or not?
Yep. Mine.
So if you guys want to hear the G1 review, you can head on over to Smack It Down Podcast.
This is a
episode
more
19.
like time has passed now kind of thing. Because we've had more time to think about it. Because I personally don't like immediate reactions. Because there's too much raw emotion, be it too positive or too negative.
I still think that the best match of the G1 so far is Goto versus Kenny.
Yeah, and I have Tanahashi. Or not Tanahashi.
Or it's Ishii versus Goto.
See, that was my favorite. I think that's also the best. I wonder what Meltzer gave that. Here, I gotta adjust my mic. What am I doing here? There we go. Now it's close to my face.
Can you hear yourself in my echo or not?
No.
That's good.
Can you hear yourself in mine?
No, I cannot. Testing, testing, 1 2 1 2. Welcome back to Red Leaf Retrocast. I am Joe Silver. Blah 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 blah. Okay.
Here too.
Yeah, now we're good.
Oh, then RPW. We get to talk about the match in the rain.
Oh, the draw and the downpour.
Yeah, did you watch that? You know what it's about. You know what happened.
I know what it's about.
Yeah.
I think I watched the end of it. When they just like, I think I watched the end of it and the start of it when they're just like forearming each other in the face.
Yeah, and then WCW. Cool. Huzzah! We get to talk about Lucha Underground, brah.
Cool, cool.
I'm excited. I never get to talk about Lucha Underground. I don't know anybody who fucking watches it, but on Twitter, like, it seems everybody watches it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, Lucha's great. I don't watch it, but I keep up with it.
Yeah. Ooh, I gotta get my wrestler rankings out. There we go. Gimme. Wrestling. Boom. Cool. Alright, I'm ready. You ready, sir?
Hang on.
Well, hurry up.
I'm talking to Mom. Give me a sec.
Alright, or refill my tea then.
Yeah.
I'm back. I'm back and ready to party.
Alright, let's go.
Got a really good kitty next to me. He's sleeping.
Bad kitty.
No, he's a good one today.
Wake up and jump on the keyboard.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna watch the G1, and like 5 minutes before it started, he's like, "No, I'm gonna lay on the computer while that's on your lap."
Wait, was there more G1 on last night? I thought there wasn't.
No, this was the other night. That picture's from the other night. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Ready?
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, hold on. Start over. I gotta turn my air off. There we are.
How long do these episodes usually take, just out of curiosity?
A couple hours.
So what about, like, okay, I getcha.
Yeah. Basically to the end of Raw.
Yeah, okay, so we should be able to just smash through this then. Because it's just us two, there shouldn't be too much back and forth.
Right. Because I'll be flying through things.
Yep.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Welcome to the Red Leaf Wrestlecast. This is episode 8, and I really appreciate it because I'm joined here by my good buddy, Jay, from the Smack It Down podcast. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, well, I'm glad you're here. You're saving my ass, because my usual host, Rad, had a family emergency, and then the other guest host that's supposed to go along with us for this very special episode, had to back out at the last second. So I really appreciate you being here, and it's a long time coming, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm supposed to cut a promo in French or something.
Yeah, you prepared for that?
I will be by the end of it.
Well, this is great. So, for those that aren't familiar with the podcast here, we don't do immediate, instant reactions to a lot of the wrestling that goes on. We go through a kind of a tour of the wide world of wrestling and break down a couple weeks later of what happened, some of the major matches you may have missed from all across promotions, not just WWE and even New Japan. We also cover Revolution Pro Wrestling, WXW in Germany, Progress in the UK, etc., etc. And since it's the summer lull, as many people would call it, a lot of the indie promotions are on, let's call it hiatus right now, a little vacation. So we got a lot of Japanese wrestling to talk about over the last few weeks, such as, and this is how it's going to go down, Jay, since you have the agenda in front of you.
Okay.
Right after we get into our wrestler spotlight, we're going catching up with some Lucha Underground season 4, which is super fun. We don't this podcast doesn't get to talk about a whole lot of lucha libre type wrestling. Then we're going to go into All Japan. They had their Dynamite series at the end of June, beginning of July. Noah Navigation with Emerald Spirits was also at the end of June. And at the beginning of July was Revolution Pro Wrestling's crossover with New Japan, Strong Style Evolved UK. After that, we'll
was the main event with Suzuki Ishii, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and you can already tell that we are very hyped for that. That will follow us into our Tier 2 wrestling promotions, particularly New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Special, with a certain crazy storytelling element at the end there. We'll finish up Wrestle Talk with Extreme Rules WWE. That'll be something. And as we do, finishing out every episode, we get to review an episode of WCW Thunder. And that will be episode 4, which took place January 28th, 1990. January 29th, 1998.
Come on, dude, get your facts right.
Ooh, I'm sorry. Or maybe it was 28th. Who knows? I have 2 dates written down here. So,
fair enough.
Little intro. This Wrestlecast has gotten into a habit of recording during Monday Night Raw now, because honestly, Jay from Smack It Down podcast, I haven't been able to watch WWE weekly television in years and years. There was just
I can't really blame you for that.
There was a small period when TNA at the time was going through their troubles. I checked out Raw and SmackDown for maybe a couple months, and then I just didn't do that after that anymore, because honestly, it's super cringy. The stories are weak, but that's not why we're here. There was an announcement tonight, as we record this, that WWE will be having their all-women's pay-per-view called Evolution in October later this year in 2018. How do you feel about this?
I hope that the theme song for it is Evolution's song, so they'll be like, Evolution is a mystery. Until the change and no one says.
It would be appropriate, wouldn't it?
It would be. I don't care.
Any particular reason for that?
Yeah, I like the NXT women's roster. I like some of the people on the Raw and SmackDown's women's roster. I just don't think that they're going to get given the proper chance to put on a proper pay-per-view.
Yeah, the key phrase I got from this, I follow the weekly WWE through Twitter mostly, and like 10-minute YouTube highlights of the show before bed. It's just the easiest way to consume it all.
Bitch, dude, because like I trudged through this SmackDown and Raw weekly for my show, and yep, it's just not at all fun.
So the key phrase I took from this announcement was they're going to feature over 50 women, and this has me a bit concerned. I'm very excited. I'm a big fan of women's wrestling. I watch the Rise promotion. In fact, I just watched Impact's crossover pay-per-view. It was free on Twitch that night with Rise, which is a all women's promotion in the United States, and they knocked it out of the park.
What was the main event on that, out of curiosity?
It was Mercedes Martinez in an Iron Woman match against Tessa Blanchard for the title.
That was fun.
It was incredible. Honestly, I preferred that Iron Person match more than the Extreme Rules one, which was the same length, which we'll get to later. Pretty crazy. But yeah, 50 women, Jay. That's pretty wild. Is it just going to be vignettes of all these women from the past just kind of showing up? That's how I take it.
Maybe we'll get another Women's Rumble.
Yeah, something like that as well. I'm afraid for the booking here, mostly because from what we've seen the past couple years, ever since 2016 came and gone, when they first launched their little campaign of the Women's Revolution, the booking of the last couple years now has just been god-awful. It's just filled with filler. The feuds don't matter. The wins don't matter. We're experiencing it now with Alexa Bliss over 400 days into her combined reign as champion, while Banks and Bayley are in the most cringeworthy segments I've seen in decades. I mean, they're definitely up there.
I saw an interesting post where it's like the women's revolution. Like you've got women like Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Bailey, like all the really good workers. And then it's like two little blonde plastic people, you women's champions.
Yeah, and I like Alexa Bliss. I really do. I don't really mind that she doesn't like taking bumps, because she does put on matches. Although she did come out with a comment that said she doesn't want to wrestle, she wants to stay in character, and she'll wrestle better later. I don't really like that comment. That's probably not the right statement to make regarding that. But yeah, Carmella's champion. I just don't care. Like, okay, she has mic skills, but if she can't give me anything in the ring worth watching, then I just don't watch it. And we've definitely seen that with her feud with Charlotte, her feud with Asuka, and the focus of the rivalry being on the man. The booking and storylines with the women are atrocious in WWE. Everything's lost. It really has me worried for this all-women's pay-per-view. And this is also coming from me, Jay, where I almost called you Rad, since that's how the flow goes here.
Mm-hmm.
Where, and I gotta get you watching some WXW, because to me the German wrestling have been doing, the German scene, whether it's Switzerland, Austria, Germany, they have had all women's pay-per-views for years now. I believe WXW's Femme Fatale's pay-per-view is on their 3rd year, and the German Wrestling Federation earlier this year at a past podcast episode, Rad and I discussed it. They had Revolution 8. They're 8 years into their all-women's pay-per-view. Not to mention Impact Wrestling, TNA, what it used to be called, has already had all-women's pay-per-views. I think they're on their 5th year in a row. So I don't really appreciate WWE, launching this as, they're the first. If it didn't happen in WWE, it didn't happen at all kind of mentality. Not to mention all the women's promotions that are already out there busting their ass and doing this all the time. I don't know. It's just coming off. It's just rubbing me the wrong way, Jay, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you look out there and you got Wonder Ring Stardom. That stuff's crazy.
Stardom is incredible. Yeah, their undercard is rough, but they got to constantly train and bring up their wrestlers, and they put them in tag matches. I mean, how else are your wrestlers going to get better if they don't wrestle? So I'll be honest, I skip a lot of them a lot of the time, but you do see flashes of brilliance. The up-and-comer right now, Starlight Kid in Stardom, incredible performer. I just saw in the last podcast episode we discussed, I talked about her getting cracked in the face 2 matches in a row and breaking her nose.
Right. Is she the one that took the belts off of Io? Or is
no, that's Momo Watanabe.
Right.
Yeah. So, all women's pay-per-view coming in October. It'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. I pray that they don't launch the tag belts for the women's division. There's just not enough there.
You're not a fan of the Sasha and Bailey win the tag team titles storyline?
I don't care, just like you.
Pretty much.
I was tired of them beating around the bush when they didn't have a match at Mania. After Banks kicked Bailey off the chamber at Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. They've been beating around the bush so long now, I just don't care.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Are you more excited for the Women's Evolution pay-per-view, or are you more excited for Super Showdown Live at Melbourne Cricket Ground?
It would definitely be the women's if I had to choose between the two. Because I hope one's not a house show.
I'm going to that glorified house show. Man, it's going to be bad.
After what we experienced in the Greatest Royal Rumble, no interest, and I won't be watching that.
Don't worry, I'll come on here and review it for you. I'll be there live in person, so yeah. Hopefully that improves something.
At least you won't have the sheiks in the front rows with their backs turned the entire time during every event.
That is true, but like, you probably know this for like, you've been to a few wrestling shows too. Like, if you're there in person, sometimes it's not as bad as seeing it on TV, because like, you're there in the atmosphere.
Not with Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. When I lived in Toronto, I went to...
I was going to say, like, even with like the little crappy independent promotions that come around, like bar wrestling, if you will, like, they're even a lot of fun to see in person.
That's true. What makes Raw and SmackDown so hard to sit through, because I won't go to those anymore, is because it's It's filled with talk, filler, and commercials, and the audience has to sit through all the commercials.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things are shoved down your throat. Luckily, when I was living in Toronto, the crowd there is absolutely insane for everything that's put in front of them. As we saw with Impact Slammiversary last night, the Toronto crowd's incredible. I really miss living there. I miss the environment, miss the atmosphere. So, anyways, moving on. I have a small little WXW update for you, Jay.
Okay, go ahead.
So, if you listen to our last cast, WXW for the month of July is releasing all their 2009 pay-per-views, going to their backlog. And for those that aren't familiar with WXW, I do talk about it ad nausea because it is my second favorite promotion on the planet right now. I just highly enjoy it. I like what they do. I like the potential it holds, and I like the improvement that I'm seeing night in, night out. 2009 was a very special year for WXW. It was a changing of the guard, new ownership, new partner deals. They were getting out of their deathmatch days. You know, Jay, the barbed wire, light tube type matches. Yeah, they stopped doing that in around 2009 with a lot of this, and I watched night one of their 16 karat gold pay-per-view. It's a 3-night tournament, and night one was incredible. Had a crazy card from the past. It was really cool seeing it all. Daniel Bryan was against Doug Williams.
Oh, yeah, so you put something like that up on Twitter, and Daniel was a heel.
Daniel was a super heel. They absolutely, the fans ate him alive. He got super heat. Daniel Bryan at the beginning, didn't really understand it. But as I saw with more Americans that showed up at this pay-per-view, most of them got booed. The exception being Tyler Black. AKA Seth Rollins is what he goes by now. So, but yeah, Daniel Bryan faced Doug Williams, while Doug Williams was incredibly over. He's a British wrestler, he's a big time vet. He was partners with Martin Stone, tag team champions, in fact, in WXW at the time. And Martin Stone, for those who don't know, is Danny Burch. They were super loved. Watched a match with Zack Sabre Jr. When he was super young, from almost 10 years ago now. His finisher, Rad. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Jay was actually a cross arm breaker finisher via Alberto El Patron. So that was cool to see. Walter is just a big goon, going by the name Big Van Walter. He's basically the muscle for a couple British tag team nobodies. They were kind of over at the time as the crowd reacted to him. I looked them both up. They stopped wrestling no less than a year or two after this. They weren't in the business very long, it seems. Walter's match was very interesting. He just used the basics. He wasn't the big chop-heavy gunshot guy that we know today. With you can definitely see he was very green in 2009. But his size, but he used his size fairly well as kind of an enforcer. Absolute Andy, the veteran of WXW, actually lost in his first round match against a Dragon Gate veteran. Maybe you've heard of him, Jay. His name's Shingo.
Possibly.
He wrestles in a singlet, has kind of a mullet going on. I'm sure if you pulled up a picture, you'd recognize him. They had a 14-minute classic match. It was a great mix of the Japanese strong style with the German catch wrestling style. Are you familiar with catch wrestling?
Yeah, it's what Suzuki and Zack Sabre Jr. and that do. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a lot more not so much suplexes, but kind of basic wrestling moves. It's actually kind of cool to see. Yeah, Suzuki and Sabre do it, and Sabre does it because he was pretty much. He spent a lot of his youth training in Germany and the UK, so it does make sense. And the main event was Chris Sabin against Tyler Black, and this was absolutely hysterical. Not what I would consider the best match on the card. I consider that to be Absolute Andy and Shingo. Chris Sabin, when the announcer was done saying both their names, Jay, immediately fuck TNA chants erupt. And it pretty much
interesting. Were they both working for TNA at that time, or was it?
No, Tyler Black was never. Tyler Black was only Ring of Honor. Chris Sabin was TNA at the time.
Tyler Black has been in TNA though for a little bit. He just didn't really do much there.
Well, he wasn't the long stander that Chris Sabin was.
Yeah.
When you think of Tyler Black, you think of Ring of Honor. When I think Chris Sabin, now I think both, but at the time it was just TNA.
Yeah, the X Division with that whole time with the X Division and stuff. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So fuck TNA chants erupted, followed by European football like chants for Tyler Black, and Sabin totally embraced the fuck TNA. Anytime he hit a big maneuver, he'd be like, "Yeah, TNA rocks!" Or one of my favorite was he hit one of his signature moves, and he immediately goes into Jeff Jarrett like taunts with the strut and the peace sign, and the crowd ate it alive. They hated it. And Tyler,
so he played a really good heel.
Oh yeah, Chris Sabin pulled an audible and just played an amazing heel. You could tell that this main event was booked to just be two big names from the States, and it turned into Tyler Black, the super face, against Chris Sabin, the super heel.
That's crazy, because I didn't think that Tyler Black was a face in Ring of Honor at the time.
I don't believe he was, but people fucking loved him in Germany, and
was that during the time that he was teamed up with Jimmy Jacobs as what were they?
I don't remember.
I forget remember.
I don't remember. But the point being, what I found interesting about this match from a wrestling standpoint was, I'm going to call him Seth Rollins from now on. Rollins looked like a totally different wrestler. He was pulling moves on I've never seen, or at least I forgot that he did them. Especially with the WXW smaller ring size. It's not your, 24 by whatever the dimensions is of the WWE ring. So Black was doing a lot of, what's that style? Like, he still did the buckle bomb, but a lot of his signature moves of springboard, knee strikes and, ripcord knee and whatever moves he's doing in WWE, none of those.
Mm-hmm.
None of those. It was he looked like an unshackled wrestler is kind of what I'm going for here.
Right.
Pretty amazing to see. This is why I like watching older wrestling shows every now and again, and I'm getting that with WXW. So that's a little intro.
Who went over?
Tyler Black went over. So
and what do you win with?
He won with a super kick. He hit
super kick.
Yeah, he hit the buckle bomb, then he hit the super kick. Then Sabin went down to his knees. Black hit another super kick, and then he was pinned. So
like the Avada Kedavra super kick, or whatever it's called.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I was kind of expecting a Phoenix Splash or something, but no.
Yeah, no, probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Anyways, I always appreciate talking about some of my favorite promotions, and I appreciate you listening to me, Jay.
Oh, good. I can go on and on about New Japan, so...
Sure. Well, we'll definitely be getting there. A lot quicker, too. And I'm going to play a cool, awesome drop here as we go into our wrestler spotlight. You ready for this?
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Alrighty. So our wrestler spotlight is our last episode we did Big Van Vader, not to be confused with Big Van Walter. Mm-hmm. And we're sticking with the Japanese wrestlers, and I thought about this for a little while. Could do some big names like Giant Baba or Inoki or whoever. I decided to stay a little bit more recent with a recently retired wrestler by Katsuyori Shibata. It does bring up a bit of a sadness in us all for wrestling fans. And I realized going into 2018, where New Japan is going through this the next step in their evolution, you might say. It's
Gaijin Mania.
And with Shinsuke and New Japan losing Shinsuke Nakamura to WWE a couple years ago, losing Shibata at this point in time, because he was primed for greatness.
Yeah,
completely. and he was fantastic to watch in the ring. Super good to see. He and for those that aren't familiar with Shibata, and I'm bringing up people like Nakamura, is in the early 2000s. New Japan was going through what's called Inokiism, where they were mixing MMA and what have you into their wrestling matches. They thought that was the next evolution in wrestling. They were very wrong, and it went on for a long time and almost bankrupted the company. And there were three people that were primed to take New Japan into the next generation. It was Tanahashi, Nakamura, and our man here, Shibata. Well, Shibata kind of got tired of that nonsense, and he ended up leaving New Japan. And there's a lot of ongoing storylines with that, where New Japan felt like he betrayed them. Even Tanahashi was on record saying, he ditched the company. He felt betrayed by a friend. There was a lot of animosity and depression that kind of went into it all. But Shibata was like, no, if I'm gonna do MMA, I'm gonna go out and try and do MMA. And he left New Japan for a number of years, and then he came back. And so there's three matches that I have here. You can't talk about Shibata without talking about his very last match against Kazuchika Okada at Sakura Genesis in 2017. So we're just over a year since this 5-star match for him to go out on his career. And what a way for his retirement to be. That is for sure. So Shibata loved to use real moves and stiff ones at that in his matches. Most notable, his shoot headbutts.
Yeah, that probably... No, let's just say that didn't help out his career.
Oh god, no. And the third match we're going to talk about is it has a lot to do with the shoot headbutts.
Yeah.
And this was all Shibata's decision to do all these moves, because at the end of the day, the wrestler, I feel, chooses what they're going to do in the ring. And Shibata liked stiff, hard, and making it seem real.
Yep.
Some of his more famous rivalries were definitely against Ishii for the Never title, helped define the Never title as the true number 3 belt in New Japan, right behind the IC title over there.
It's a shame that's not the case anymore.
I don't
like the Never division,
the US title currently, I would say, is more important than the Never title. It's not being built up well. 2018 has not been a good year for the Never title. Despite me loving Goto.
Yeah, Goto's great, but the Never division to me, it just has never really done anything for me. Shibata versus Ishii, that whole thing, the feud was fantastic, but it would have been more significant if it was for a different belt.
Well, they defined the belt, so I think it was fine.
I get that, dude. Just as you said, since the US title was coming in, it's just kind of taken a backseat.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes. But that's why I like the IC title not being in the G1 this year, is it gives the Never title and the US title more focus.
Yeah. It'd be interesting seeing freaking Jericho in the G1, but it just wasn't going to happen.
Oh, no. Not at his age.
Imagine all the different freaking personas he comes out as. Imagine Jericho Juice Robinson. That'd be interesting seeing Jericho come out all flamboyant and crap.
The 19 faces of Jericho.
Drink it in, man.
Well, I'm kind of glad Jericho... Well, anyways, we're getting off topic here. So, if you haven't had the chance to look at, or at least watch, highlights of Okada versus Shibata at Sakura Genesis in 2017, it's a hell of a match to end your career on. Unfortunately, it ended a little bit too early for Shibata, because he wasn't a young man at the time, for sure. I think he was 37. Luckily, he's got a job at the U.S. dojo for New Japan Wrestling in California, so he's well set off.
He's over there booting young lions in the chest. That's all good.
Oh yeah. So the reason why he retired was he basically couldn't feel his body anymore. The theory is his shoot headbutts popped nerves and caused his brain to bleed. And I think that'll do it. There's a reason why actually headbutting somebody isn't a thing to do.
Yeah.
So, I have written down here a 2014 match called Destruction in Kobe. It was a the penultimate bout of Tanahashi against Shibata, another 5-star match. You see a pattern here. Shibata never left anything out on the table. It was always 110%. And with someone like Hiroshi Tanahashi, his longtime standing buddy, you might say, coming up in the dojo together, and they come back. This was a bit of a New Japan grudge match. The story was Tanahashi felt Shibata shamed New Japan by leaving and put the company in a bad state. As I mentioned earlier, it was hard-hitting, plenty of counters. This was shortly after Shibata first came back, too, from his MMA stint. He was gone a while. Each hit was solid, was sold well when a wrestling move was used. And I say that in particular because it was a lot of just hard hitting. But when they finally hit a wrestling move, such as Tanahashi's Sling Blade or a German from Shibata, the wrestlers just sold the crap out of him like it was the most devastating thing in the world. To me, Jay, this is where the pace stands out here the most. Where Shibata and Tanahashi just rolled off each other, the momentum changes made sense. Somehow this match was only 20 minutes. It felt like 5. I felt like it just went by in a flash. And that's a really good time. What made it even better, though, was Mauro Ranallo was on commentary.
Oh, dude, Mauro Ranallo on commentary for anything just makes it fantastic.
Oh, refreshing. Hyping up the match, each move. Ranallo was going into Shibata's past and Tanahashi's feelings toward it all. And I remember one line where Tanahashi hit Shibata with a heavy forearm, and Ranallo says something along the lines of, "And that forearm cracked Shibata into reality. He realizes his mistake and how he made Tanahashi feel."
Yeah, just the Ronaldo-isms they're fantastic.
Ronaldo-isms.
Yeah. Dude, another like time difference here. Like that show was made available by freaking Bad Luck Fale as IC champion. Ugh, gross.
I'm not the biggest Fale fan, to say the least.
I don't think anybody likes Fale.
No. He has his presence and purpose, but I don't know. I think he's booked way too strong.
It's okay. Shinsuke won the IC title off him that night. It's all good.
Yeah. But Christ, Shibata Tanahashi, I was very glad. I've actually never seen this match before the podcast. Incredible stuff. In my opinion, this was Shibata's best match. I liked it much more than the Okada match, personally. It just had more story to go along with it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And both guys played their role really well. It was really good.
Yes, sir. And then 2 years later, it was Katsuri Shibata against Katsuhiko Nakajima. This match was given no rating as far as I could find. This was a storyline in 2016 where New Japan and Pro Wrestling Noah, another wrestling promotion in Japan, had a storyline rivalry going. This is
during the time that Suzuki-gun was banished to Noah, or is this before that? Okay.
Yes, this is exactly during that time. This is about the time I want to say late 2015 was when I first started watching New Japan, and I was all about Suzuki-gun invading. I hated him because I liked a lot of the Noah guys. On day 4 of the G1 Climax in 2016, so basically 2 years ago to this date, there was a tag team match between Noah and New Japan to kind of hype up the blocks of New Japan and Noah guys fighting each other all the time. Both guys were at the forefront of this hard-hitting rivalry with Shibata and Nakajima. Nakajima being kind of the up-and-comer of Noah, or the more established guy. Same thing with Shibata, up-and-comer, more established guy. Yep. And Shibata came back from... Before Shibata officially came back to New Japan, he was in Noah, trying to revitalize his wrestling career. So there's a bit of history there as well. So Shibata's back from his Noah days, and there was a post-match brawl in which you see Shibata going after various Noah guys And the most notable instance was Shibata taking Nakajima at the ropes and shoot headbutting him, causing him to bleed. Both to bleed.
Yeah, like I said, those shoot headbutts aren't exactly good for your career.
Oh, yeah. So, when this match finally happened at the G1, these two guys facing each other, this was the run that Shibata needed for New Japan to trust him again, with going for a title and getting booked into better, higher main events. Instead of just being a part of the never title type scene. So he goes out there with this hard-hitting New Japan style against Noah, and you could hear Nakajima talking trash to Shibata like, you left. I'm gonna beat you at your own game. They're both yelling at each other like, come on, give me your best shot type stuff. And even Nakajima's trying to steal Shibata's moves. At one point he hit the dropkick in the corner, the shades of Shibata. And it was just Shibata kind of going up in that story going, I'm not going to let some Noah guy steal my spotlight, be a prick and take my moves. It was just on a match hell-bent on anything you can do. I, from New Japan, can do better than Noah. In this case, Shibata over Nakajima. It's not the greatest match in the world, but it shows a lot of Shibata's character and how much reality actually went into a wrestling storyline.
Right.
And that's who Shibata was.
Match. Yeah, no, I haven't seen this match, but it sounds like it could be quite interesting.
Well, it was more or less the history that went into the match more than the match itself. The match itself was fine. I had to translate and kind of pick up on a lot of things that they were saying at each other. That's where kind of a language barrier goes in if you want to get into Japanese wrestling. You kind of miss a lot of the trash talking, but eventually when you watch enough, you can tell a lot of guys are just going like, come on, or more, or things like that, and that makes it that much better.
Yeah, like, I don't know what they're saying, but it sounds intimidating.
Yeah. What's your impression of Shibata and who he was and what his legacy is going to be? Because he's not coming back.
Yeah, no, he's definitely not coming back. Like you said, dude, performed amazingly in the ring. Just the stuff that he did, like the shoot style of things that he did, looked freaking painful, which I guess is what he was going for. It's just a shame that his career was cut short, and he should have probably got a run with the IC or their world title eventually, but like I said, career was cut short.
Yeah. Yeah, it was such a shame. Such a shame. Man. Yeah, I think my favorite image of him was him winning the New Japan Cup. And him
back in last year's, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which led to the match with Okada, a retirement match.
And he's sitting in the middle of the ring with his arm over the cup. And that was the culmination of all of his hard work, coming back from MMA hiatus, leaving New Japan, excuse me, and proving himself. You can kind of tell on his face, where he takes a deep breath and his shoulders just go down. It's like he redeemed himself.
I wouldn't have been surprised if by the end of last year he'd held the IC title, like taking it off Tanahashi, just to build that storyline a bit more. Maybe even put those two in a match at Wrestle Kingdom instead of the Jay White one from earlier this year.
Shibata was, I think, the guy who's gonna take the title off Okada in the end.
You reckon?
I think so. I think
so. Like Kenny was just a replacement.
I think I have a feeling. I have a feeling that because of Shibata's horrible injury and him retiring, they had to change their plan. I think they were going to build up Omega to take the belt off someone like Tanahashi, and then Okada take it back from Omega. I think they had a lot more long-term plans in place for a couple more years. That's just a theory of mine.
So you're saying that at this point in time that you don't think Kenny was the person to take it, or are you saying that?
Right. I think it was going to be. I think it was going to be the story of Shibata coming back and taking the title off Okada, and then Shibata was going to lose to Tanahashi, and then Omega was going to take it, and then
to Omega, and then Omega would lose back to Okada.
Right. I have a feel. It's just a bat crazy feeling I had of how like changing of the guard and the new generation was going to happen.
So at this point in your timeline, in your head, would Okada be champion or would Tanahashi be champion?
Tanahashi.
So what, Omega would get it at Wrestle Kingdom or King of Pro Wrestling?
Something like that, yeah.
Gotcha.
Probably
one this year.
Right. I think Shibata was going to be primed to win the G1 and take it at Wrestle Kingdom from Okada.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Like he wins both the New Japan Cup and the G1.
Instead of Naito last year. Yep.
Right. And that would make sense because of the Naito situation with the IC title and so you see where I'm going with that. I really miss Shibata. He's one of those guys that I paid so much attention to during my start with New Japan, essentially. So,
you know, he was good.
Yeah. Well, all right. I'm excited to move on. Are you?
I am. Paint me a picture, dude. What are we doing?
All right. Well, I'm gonna play this real quick drop here, and then we're gonna get into our indie scene. As I find, there it is. And just for your purpose, Jay, when I get into the indie scene, I always play the Walter entrance music drop.
That's pretty cool.
I love it. I'm a sucker for it. He's he's currently my favorite wrestler today, like easily.
Yeah, no, I figured that. Like,
yeah,
yep. I like Suzuki. We've had this conversation.
Oh, Suzuki's right up there, man. I look forward to. Well, you know what? I'll save that comment I was just about to say for when we get to the Revolution Pro Wrestling indie scene.
Okie dokie.
So, have you seen the first 3 seasons of Lucha Underground, Jay?
I've seen parts of them. I haven't, like, it's really hard to watch over here without, like, doing it illegally. I know what's going on with Lucha.
You can get it on
I don't necessarily
iTunes.
watch it, but I know what's going on.
Okay. You can get it on iTunes and Amazon, I believe.
You can't get it on iTunes here.
Oh, bummer.
Amazon, on the other hand, you can. It's just expensive.
Yeah, it's like $10 more on Amazon than anywhere else. But anyways, so this is we're just doing a quick recap of Lucha Underground season 4 episodes 2 through 6. So up to today's date, essentially. Episode 2, and I'm just gonna run through this real quick. And Jay, whenever you hear something that you go, what? Because that's Lucha Underground after all, just chime in.
Okay.
I'm gonna be flat out here. There hasn't been a crazy, like, turn your head W2TF type match to really truly talk about, but there was a lot of story going here, and that's kind of the crux of
Actually,
Lucha
before we
Underground.
get into this too far, what do you think of, like, the people that have killed off and, like, the people that didn't return? Like, it changed stories a bit. Like, for an example, with who was it that was Trios champion that they replaced with Son of Havoc?
On Helico,
maybe?
I think.
It just seems like, I know why they did it, because, like, their contracts were ridiculous, and now that Ricochet's gone, like, Prince Puma has gone to NXT and all that, like, they've had to change a lot of their plans, but I think they've pulled off what they've done well enough.
I don't see any issue with what they've done.
Also, I
think
have
they've
a question for you.
incorporated
What do you
quite
think
well.
of the new? What do you think of the new temple?
It's not as gritty as the last one. It's in this old, like, warehouse ice.
It's in a freezer.
Yeah, it's in a freezer. It's grown on me. The first episode kind of took me by as a surprise a bit, and then I got quickly used to it. There was a cool moment in I believe it was the episode 3, but let me go over episode 2 real quick. And if you're not familiar with Lucha Underground, this might sound batshit crazy. So, Katrina needs Katrina is the kind of she died in season 3, and she needs life force to return from the spirit world. Follow me so far?
Mm-hmm.
There's a storyline going on where there are 7 competitors or 7 people that will win an ancient Aztec medallion that will earn themselves a title shot for the Gift of the Gods title. Really cool concept. I kind of like that. Even if you take out the spiritual type Aztec nonsense of it, just think of it as each person gets an item, and that item allows them a title shot. So simple enough.
Essentially Money in the Bank.
Everyone except you don't cash in. You just get a title shot against the other competitors that got the item. So
yeah, no. Like the Gift of the Gods title itself is essentially Money in the Bank.
Yeah. Dragon Azteca Jr. won the first one. Then in the next match, Jake Strong, aka Jack Swagger, made his Lucha Underground debut, and very over with the crowd. And this is my favorite thing: he is just a brutish guy, and he kayfabe breaks ankles.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Pentagon breaks arms. Well, Jake Strong breaks ankles. It's really cool. I like it. He hasn't had much to do in Lucha Underground Season 4, but his appearance definitely leaves a mark at each time. It's pretty funny. Then, in that same episode, Pentagon defended the title against Montaza Cueto, a.k.a. Jeff Cobb. It was Jeff Cobb's first singles loss ever in Lucha Underground, and the match was okay. It went into the story where Jeff Cobb's character Montaza Cueto needs to lose his soul to become a true monster. Episode 3, this was highlighted by a triple threat coffin match. Really fun. I quite enjoyed this. A lot of good spots, especially by Phoenix. A really fun moment where Sami Callihan, aka in Lucha Underground, he goes by Jeremiah Crane, was at the top of the stairs, and Mil Muertes kind of disappeared, and he comes up through the ice elevator right behind. So the door flies up, and there's Muertes behind him, and Callahan just goes, "Oh my god!" It's really funny,
dude. Friggin' Sami Callihan's great.
Oh, he's quite. Yeah, he's absolute money in 2018 for me. Every storyline he gets involved with, it just becomes must-watch material. So 2 guys have to be buried alive, and the story here is their life forces will be given to Katrina to bring her back from the spirit world. So Mil Muertes buries Phoenix, and then Ivelisse causes Crane to lose, getting revenge during the match. So Ivelisse played her part. Post-match, Montaza Cueto breaks the key to his soul. So that's where we were left off. Episode 3. Episode 4, decent mixed tag match between the Reptile Tribe versus Johnny Muno and Taya. So there's intergender wrestling. That was done well. The main event for an Aztec medallion was Chavo versus King Cuerno, aka the Hunter. I really like King Cuerno. He's a AAA Libre guy. Very good wrestler, just in a promotion that I think isn't very good.
Was it him and Phoenix that had the matches last year for the Gift of the Gods title for a bit?
I believe so, yes.
The year before? Yeah, they were good. They're some of the things I actually saw.
Yeah, King Cuerno is a very good lucha wrestler. He's in my top 10 for Lucha Libres. Episode 5, Ivelisse beats the gross Joey Ryan to get an Aztec medallion in a decent enough intergender match there. Joey Ryan's gross.
Did he take the leather pocket out of his underwear?
He did, and the camera really zoomed in on the pubic hair that was on the lollipop.
Dude, Joey Ryan's great. It's a shame that he's dead.
Kayfabe.
Have you seen the Bucks interact with him on Twitter? It's like, shh, you're supposed to be dead.
Oh, man. So, it was immediately followed by the Trios champs fighting for 2 medallions. This was an above-average match. I really like the story involved with the 3 tag team title members going at it against each other. The Mac pins Killshot as both Killshot and Havoc were down, and the Mac chooses to pin Killshot over another. Really interesting stuff there. Killshot seems to be primed for a big heel run, and Killshot, for those that don't know, is Shane Strickland.
Yep,
that's his indie scene name. This was main evented by Brian Cage versus Mil Muertes. They had a crazy story battle where 3 refs were taken out. At one point, Brian Cage was in the audience talking shit. He was looking at Muertes in the ring, and Pentagon was dressed up as a crowd member, and Pops in the crowd just went insane for it. He looked like a regular guy, and cracks Cage with the back in the back with a chair, costing him the match and the Aztec medallion. Then there was some weird Mad Hatter segment with Paul London closing out the episode where he murders a midget.
There's a dude sitting on a cage, isn't there?
Yes. I totally forgot about the Rabbit Tribe. This strange Alice in Wonderland / Mad Hatter gimmick that Paul London has. It's stupid funny.
Yeah, it's pretty great from what I've heard.
Yeah.
We should explain too, like, there's different tribes and stuff. There's supposed to be like an ancient battle coming to fruition in current times or something.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And then episode 6, Johnny Mundo and Vivera continue the Reptile Tribe versus the Worldwide Underground rivalry. This was probably the best match I have seen in Lucha Underground to date. Very impactful. Basically, both factions interfered while the match was still solid. Vivera ended up winning this, and pretty cool. I really like this. Johnny Mundo and Vivera. Vivera is like an even more mobile Punishment Martinez from Ring of Honor. Yeah. He wears a giant reptile mask. It's really freaky looking. It's cool. Then there was an impromptu battle royal where the 7 Aztec medallion winners would face off against each other in this battle royal over the top, with the winner choosing one member to be eliminated from competing for the Gift of the Gods title in episode 7, which is happening this week. This was the shortest battle royal I've ever seen in my life. And it came down to the Mac and what's his name? Son of Havoc being the last 2 in the ring, and Son of Havoc just kind of nods at the Mac, puts his hand on his chest, and then just flies out on his own. So kind of a tag team brethren there. I really like that part. I wish I saw more stuff like that in Royal Rumbles in WWE rather than, the inevitable turn that always ends up happening. Mac chooses Mil Muertes to not be in it because he's like, you scare the shit out of me. I don't want you in it. It's like, hey, that makes sense.
Mil Muertes, yeah.
You scare the shit out of me. I was like, yeah, he's right. So, and then there was a decent enough title match between Pentagon and Cage for the Lucha Underground title. It was just too short.
You can't break a robot's arm.
Yeah, you can't. You can break a man's arm, but I'm not a man. I'm a machine. So Penta wins. He's still the Lucha Underground champion. You're all caught up. Unfortunately, as I said, these matches are just always too short to really get going and prove what a lot of these guys are doing. But luckily, the stories just keep you invested for everything long term. It's more or less story. This is like the most Attitude Era thing you could imagine, mixed in with a lot of Latino Mexican culture.
Yeah, look, I want to watch it. I just can't.
There's many sites out there where you can take it if you.
Yeah, but I don't do that sort of thing. I know a lot of people do to watch Lucha, but I don't.
So, I saved up my money. I spent my $50 to get Lucha Underground. I love it.
Yeah.
So that'll take us into All Japan Pro Wrestling Dynamite series, and we're only going to talk about 2 matches here. No, 1 match. Okay. I'm sorry, one match from the Dynamite series. Instead of talking about the whole card, I feel that All Japan still has quite a ways to go. They lost. They've had 2 big generation talent kind of cullings over the year. Maybe culling's not the right word, but people left. So it's very bare, even though the wrestling is very solid. I think it's probably the best training ground in Japan, even more so than what I see out of Noah and New Japan, but that's just my opinion, of course. This was highlighted by Kento Miyahara, the Triple Count champion, against Jake Lee. Now, this was not for the title, but for more or less proving to each other. Miyahara basically kind of told Jake Lee, get on my level and prove yourself that you're worthy for another title shot, because they faced each other last year. Kento Miyahara did win this match via his shutdown German suplex. Probably my favorite finisher on the planet right now in wrestling. I absolutely love it. Mm-hmm. It's very simple and it's very, very protected. Kento Miyahara is one of the best wrestlers right now in the world. I don't think it's up for debate. He can pace, like between him and Naito, they pace matches out so well. It's on freakish levels. It reminds me a lot of the like Steamboat Ric Flair type levels of pace and momentum switches. For example, you never see Miyahara like hit his major signature moves at the beginning of a match. Everything's always built up to these things.
Right,
follow me so far?
Right.
So, this was very much reminiscent of their match from last year between Miyahara and Jake Lee. But everything, I saw a lot more promise from Jake Lee in this time. He threw out a couple more maneuvers, couple more offensive moments that put this match over, made it better than the one from last year. Pretty sweet ending sequence where Kento hits a series of his double blackout knees. Think of Kenny Omega's V-triggers.
They sound as nasty as V-triggers?
Yeah. But
well, who does them better?
I think Miyahara does it better because he doesn't slap his knee. He doesn't slap his leg as hard. So you're actually hearing him crack someone really hard. That's why it's called a blackout.
Nice.
Yeah, so he hits these blackout knees and then the shutdown German suplex. Yeah. So basically, Lee will have to now climb from the bottom back up if he ever wants to challenge or even hold the Triple Crown belt again. At the end, the next challenger is Zeus. Zeus is 36, looks like a beast. He's very ripped, but it's now or never for him, unfortunately.
You sure it's not the Zeus that fought Hulk Hogan?
It is not that one, so don't worry about that.
So we're going to get like a no-holds-barred rematch.
So Kento Miyahara... again, just proved why he's the ace of All Japan. Right now, All Japan reminds me so much of New Japan Pro Wrestling when it was coming out of its MMA days. They're in the rebuilding phase, and Kento Miyahara, much like Tanahashi back in the day, is at the forefront and just waiting for talent to develop. I look forward to other guys rising to the occasion. Now, probably, in my opinion, the second best promotion in Japan is Noah. They had Navigation with Emerald Spirits. They had two major title matches that I'd like to talk about. The tag matches are always, they're solid in Noah. All Japan, unfortunately, I think the tag division is non-existent. In Noah, the junior heavyweight division is very limited. Not a lot of talent you could believe to take the title off Harada. So this match was Hitoshi Kumano against Daisuke Harada. Harada's the champion. This is his sixth defense. Without Ishimori, Harada is single-handedly carrying the entire division with knockout matches. The match was good, but not as good as the Voyage defense match in March versus Hayato. Hayato's the evil wizard-looking gimmick guy, if you are familiar with Noah. I was kind of disappointed, but Harada looked really good. Kumano looks a little out of shape. He looked a bit slow in this match. However, I will say this type of match reminded me of the old Jericho-Benoit matches from the early 2000s, where it's not
the ones they had in Japan or the ones from WCW.
No, the ones in WWE actually. Where it's not flippy shit, but it's faster wrestling with technical abilities.
Right.
I'm not saying it's anywhere near as good as those, but I'm saying it reminded me of those. And that's why I like watching Harada in Noah. He definitely brings out different abilities in other wrestlers. That being said, oh god, just not a lot going on in the Noah Junior division. It's very slim.
Well, ever since they've lost Ishimori, like, it just seems they've only got one good, like, big dude, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they need to build up other talents and get them over, much like All Japan with its main event scene.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But the big match here was the GHC heavyweight title match, Takashi Sugiura against Keno, third defense. Which seemed odd to me that they would have a rematch this early, because Keno lost the title to Sugiura earlier this year. I believe it was in March.
Mm-hmm.
And Keno at the time was this like cocky young guy. I got the title, and Sugiura was the crazy vet. Just take it off this cocky
kid. So kind of like the Okada and Tanahashi stuff from earlier.
Yeah, but flip the script.
Yep.
Flip the script on who won. So Sugiura is now defending the title against Keno this time. I think they definitely one-up themselves in this match. It was even more hard-hitting, kicking. It even seemed more technical in spots compared to their match at Voyage in March, where Keno lost the title. Keno was more serious this time than him being the cocky champ. I definitely saw a different personality out of him, and that's one thing I liked about Keno. Is if I compare this to WWE guys, they never seem to change their character. They're this one guy, no matter what, all the time. Take what we're seeing out of Okada. He's kind of in this depressive, crazy balloon state after the Rainmaker phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hardly ever get the character changes like that in the West, in Western wrestling, North America.
Yeah, right.
So I really appreciated seeing something like this from Keno, and it was just simple things, facial expressions, selling the piss out of every single Sugiura hit. Like, Keno looked like he was going to die in this match. It was super entertaining to watch. I had Travis from Hibiki TMD watch this. I was like, if you don't have the time, watch this match. And he watched it. He goes, dude, that was amazing.
I might have to check out this match then.
Yeah, this was incredible. I do wish Sugiura's knees looked a little bit better, but Keno did sell him well enough.
Does Noah have English commentary?
No. Noah doesn't even have, as far as I know, a streaming service. So you have to... all their matches are always put up on like YouTube and Dailymotion and stuff. So the only way you're going to watch Noah is to just find alternative methods.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Unlike All Japan that has a streaming service that launched in March, and it's very shitty.
Right. Can you find things on that? Because if you can, it's a step up from New Japan's.
I mean, you have to know what you're searching for. Just like New Japan.
Okay, so it's still kind of like New Japan's then?
Yeah. Yeah, they got... All Japan especially has a long way to go in that. But I absolutely love this match. Sugiura did end up winning. Where does Keno go from here is my question. I don't know. I would like to see Keno go after Harada for the junior title. Because in Noah, they don't have defined weight divisions like in New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different style, you might say. Kind of like the X division in Impact Wrestling now. You expect
the
more.
No weight. It's just wrestling.
Right. It's not about what's the phrase in Impact? It's not about weight limits. It's about no limits. That's how I take the junior title in Noah. So
right.
The next challenger for Sugiura is Go Shiozaki. I really expect that match to be super good. Go Shiozaki is an ex-All Japan Pro Wrestling. He's a vet of Noah. He's definitely one of the guys that got sick of All Japan and not being pushed during the transition after Baba died in All Japan. I believe I have that right on my history. So that's a match I'll be looking forward to. The current storyline in Noah with the heavyweight title right now is who is going to... It's all about the old generation against the new in Noah, and Sugiura has a lot of like talking shit on who's gonna be the young kid to finally usurp him, pretty much. Who's gonna meet his challenge? Who do you think
it's gonna be?
That's the thing. I just don't know. I have no clue. Because if it's not Keno, maybe here I'll throw out a couple names here. I have them written down. Let's see, maybe Kaito Kiyomiya. I could see him trying to do something like that. I really liked what I saw out of Katsuhiko Nakajima. I think he's the guy that's sort of turning heel, so maybe he could be that dude, because Sugiura's pretty loved, even though he's talking shit. So yeah, guess we'll find out.
Maybe you'll get one of the 205 Live guys taking it, because don't they have a working relationship now with the Dubs?
Noah did strike a deal with that, and Noah also has a deal with Impact as well. And
interesting. Maybe they'll get Ishimori back, but I don't know how that'll work with friggin' him being with New Japan.
No, Ishimori is going international. He pretty much said that he's done everything he wanted to do in Noah, and he wants to, before it's too late, kind of the Nakamura move. He wants to be more worldwide. No.
Right.
You know,
well,
make more of a name for himself.
He's pretty good.
I love Ishimori. I just don't like the look of his Bone Soldier gimmick exactly, but that doesn't take away from his wrestling at all.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like the match that he had with Will Ospreay at the Best of Super Juniors was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. So that takes us into our last indie scene, which is the Revolution Pro Wrestling crossover with New Japan, Strong Style Evolved UK.
Yes, Night 1 and Night 2.
Right. And the prelude to this was Minoru Suzuki had his 30th anniversary, in which he had a special wrestling match against Okada outside in the pouring rain. This is my favorite match of the year. It's not the best match of the year.
Freaking awesome.
If you can actually watch this match for free on New Japan. I believe it's still available on New Japan World.
Yeah, it is. On the homepage too, I'm pretty sure. Like it's one of the scrolling across options still.
The pictures of this event alone are breathtaking, filled with great wrestling imagery. I've never seen anything like it. It's basically Suzuki beating the depression out of Okada.
Yep, pretty much.
Because Okada came out to his regular music, and the story being told here was so obvious. Suzuki's all happy, 30 years in the business, all this. He's got the Rainmaker he's fighting, and
he's even got friggin' the chick who sings his song there to perform it live. I think it's Ayumi Nakamura.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. And you can see Okada and Suzuki's facial expressions with Suzuki egging him on, like, come on, do something. You're doing nothing to me. What is this? I want to fight. Where's this Rainmaker? And Okada is, his first punches at the beginning, his forearms weren't much behind him. He had kind of a depressive type look on his face. And as the match went on, Suzuki slowly beat it out of him. Mm-hmm. And the best picture was definitely when the facial expression changed, and you see Suzuki with the cocked head, and Okada finally with some anger emotion on his face, and it's like an upshot camera with the rain falling down, the rain water just coming off their bodies, right in front of the big warehouse that they were at. So cool.
Yep.
Seeing the dudes slowly tread when they're wanting to go off the ropes, and a couple times Okada slips because it's wet. Went to a 30-minute draw. Amazing. It's my favorite match of the year.
Dude, it was great. Those forearms that they were throwing at each other towards the end of it was stiff too.
Yeah. This is definitely one of the up and coming. Strong Style is the premier style of wrestling right now in 2018, I feel.
For sure.
It is not what we're seeing in Ring of Honor with Spot Monkeys. It's not what we're seeing in WWE with the 4 moves of doom for every wrestler.
I was going to say with whatever the hell they're doing.
Yeah. So then the very next night, we went to Strong Style Evolved UK, where Suzuki Gun comes out to face the team of Okada and Ishii for the tag titles. Or was this a regular tag match?
No, it was the tag team championship.
Tag team
Suzuki
titles,
were defending. Yep.
And Okada debuts his new music, his red pants, and his dyed hair.
He didn't have the dyed hair yet, did he?
Did he not? I think he... Didn't he?
No, I don't think he did.
No, he didn't have the dyed hair yet, but he had the new pants and the new music.
Conference. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really liked the commentary on this, really hitting home that... what's the phrase they used for the draw and the downpour?
Yeah, the draw and the downpour.
Yeah, the draw and the downpour.
Like, we can't do that match any justice. Like, if you haven't seen the draw and the downpour, go watch the draw and the downpour.
Yeah, go look at the pictures. Okada's a new man. It's almost like the weight was washed off his shoulders, literally, in the draw and the downpour. You know, it was fucking fantastic.
It was,
and it was a really good story-driven tag match. If you're not like, I haven't spoken all that highly on Revolution Pro Wrestling, even on this podcast, pretty recently, but their last 2 pay-per-views have totally convinced me otherwise. To continue watching their product more frequently than I ever have before.
Both of these pay-per-views that we're talking about too, like Night 1 and Night 2 of Strong Style Evolved UK, are both available on New Japan World as well with English commentary.
Yeah, it's wholeheartedly worth checking out. It's especially Night 2 is among my favorite of the year so far in wrestling.
Yeah, the semi-main event with Zack and Okada, and then Ishii versus Suzuki for the British Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah. So one thing to note is just a couple other matches I thought were kind of fun. Not the best matches in the world, but they served their purpose. Walter, my man, made his Revolution Pro debut during this pay-per-view. This goes into what I said in the last podcast, where I think Walter is going to make a New Japan appearance by year's end and be in the G1 next year.
Yeah, he debuted essentially by caving in Ishii's chest.
Well, we'll get there. He had a good hard-hitting match against Yujiro. He faced Yuji Nagata the night before. Taichi continues to ooze heel charisma, and he's all pissed off that he's not in the G1. He drove Ospreay absolutely mad in their match with his heel tactics. I think Jay White took a lot of techniques from Taichi based on what I've seen here. Great example of a match of heel versus face trying to overcome the cheating. Taichi wins and might just be one of my favorite heels in the world right now.
Dude,
maybe.
Knife Pervert's growing on me though.
He's growing on me too. It's getting tough to decide like a top 5 heels in wrestling right now. But Marty Scurll's still number 1 in my heart.
Suzuki's definitely up there too.
I don't know. He's kind of a tweener.
He probably displays more heel tendencies than face tendencies though.
I suppose. Yeah, I mean he does beat up young boys. I suppose that's not good.
Yeah, look, essentially what I'm trying to say is Suzuki for me is like Walter is for you.
Yeah, the guy could be a heel and I'll still love him. I don't care what he does.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. beats Okada in Night 2, clean, by the way. I thought this was better than their title match in New Japan, actually.
It was better than the title match in New Japan. They beat him essentially with a roll-up thing.
Yeah. The match was faster paced. Sabre was less reliant on being technical, so it reminded me more of his WXW days. Obviously, more refined technique and flow to his matches than back then. But the idea behind the match was definitely more European than New Japan. He ends up pinning Okada with via the split leg after the Rainmaker counter, which I thought was great. And then in a tag match in I think it was at the G1 Special, he gets rolled up by Yano. So
actually, it was at the G1 Special.
Yeah, like what, 3 days later or some shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
What happens in Europe stays in Europe, I suppose. So, finally onto the main event. Minoru Suzuki beats Ishii for the British heavyweight title in Revolution Pro Wrestling in what could be one of the most... you know what? Before I watched Goto and Ishii beat the living shit out of each other in the G1, this was the hardest match of the year.
Yeah, then they decided to one-up it at the G1.
Good God.
I just want to say, though, like, from what I'd heard, Ishii wasn't exactly doing a good job as champion, apparently. Like, I don't know what the go was, but I guess people just went high on him.
Yeah, and I totally get it. Like, Ishii has to have the right opponents. God, I think it was 2 podcast episodes ago with the Wrestlecast. Ishii faced Keith Lee for the British title, and the match was okay, but there was too many kicking outs of ones. Ishii doesn't have a lot of charisma in the ring, besides being against an opponent that's hard hitting. And if you're gonna build an underdog to take the title from somebody, maybe taking the title off, I think it was Zack Sabre Jr. Probably wasn't the best booking decision.
What are your thoughts on Keith Lee going to NXT, dude?
He'll do fine there, and then nothing.
Until they book him like the Big Show.
No.
Well, it's Keith Lee.
We've already seen what a really good wrestling dude that's also black can do in NXT, and that's Big E. And then he went to...
Yeah, but look at him now on the main roster. He eats pancakes.
Exactly, he eats pancakes. And so I expect some stupid PG nonsense to be part of Keith Lee's character, instead of being the ground zero badass that we all know him to be.
Don't worry, dude. We can still bask in his glory.
I will always bask in his glory, but as soon as he goes to the main roster, his glory will be fading to black.
Because we will get the big Keith Lee.
So, yeah, basically a hard-hitting affair between Suzuki and Ishii. I think giving Suzuki the title with this whole Suzuki-gun taking over storyline is a good choice. I quite enjoy it. What I really liked was what happened post-match.
Walter.
Was Ishii going up the ramp, and Walter comes out and boots him to hell, and then puts a foot on his chest, and that is your match coming up at the next RPW pay-per-view.
Dude, I can't wait to see Walter versus Suzuki.
Walter is beating Ishii. That is going to be hard-hitting, amazing stuff. Good European wrestling right there. And then for the inevitable Walter, I'm saying this now, Walter's taking that title off of Suzuki.
Which I'm fine with.
I am totally fine with that as well. That is a dream matchup of mine. I have, and I'm going to get that already. Are you kidding me?
Hopefully it's as good as it is in your head, dude. Because, like, we know that things in our head don't necessarily turn out the way they're supposed to, because look at Styles and Nakamura.
Well, I mean, that's an oh, my boy Radzero decided to pop in, stop by for a bit. Yeah, Walter. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited for Walter Ishii. If you haven't seen the promo posters for the next RPW event, it's pretty epic.
I haven't actually seen them. Is it just Walter and Ishii?
Yeah. Big brooding Walter standing over Ishii.
Who they got on Suzuki defending against?
I don't think he's defending. I think the main event is going to be the #1 contender match of Walter against Ishii, which I'm totally cool with.
Well, I suppose he's kind of busy with the G1.
Sure, yeah. Well, so is Ishii.
Yeah, true.
But the G1 will be over by that time.
Yeah, we'll see how this all turns out.
Yeah. So that ends the indie scene, and that'll take us into our next topic, which is the New Japan G1 special, right after I play this awesome drop. Alrighty. Jay, you watched the G1 special.
I did watch the G1 special. Match of the night to me was Jay White versus Juice Robinson.
I have been talking forever, so why don't you take me through this based on kind of what I have going on through the agenda here, because there's a lot to talk about and break down.
Sure. Okay, then. Give me a second. Well, first of all, dude, what did you think of JR on commentary?
I don't think his heart's in it anymore, to be honest. I think he's getting a paycheck from Axis. He seems lackluster without energy. He doesn't even call moves anymore. He forgets names. He was mixing up Roppongi 3K left and right. No history being spoken.
Too, so I understand.
I think they're pretty obvious now. I mean, I could go all day about JR on commentary. I liked him in the late 90s, early 2000s, but he's not right for New Japan. He's not the right guy.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Did you want to go over the Bullet Club versus the Chaos thing at the start, or not really?
No. I don't think that's necessary. Haku came back.
Short, it was like
Meng came back. That's what.
Yeah, like it was our boy Chase Owens. We love Chase Owens here on the Red Leaf Retrocast and SmackDown. And Yujiro Takahashi, King Haku, and the Gorillas of Destiny versus Chaos. Bullet Club go over. It's an American show. What do you expect?
Mm-hmm. It was the Bullet Club show tonight. That night.
Yeah, for sure. And then we had Jeff Cobb versus Hiroki Goto for the Never title. Dude, decent technical match. Like, Jeff Cobb is just so smooth in the ring, and so is Goto, and these two together. Oh, it was I'm not going to say it was like a fantastic match, but it was quite good.
It was very solid. Much like how I was talking about Lucha Underground earlier in the show, just need more time. It just needs more time. Yep. That's kind of the state of the Never title in 2018. It's nothing's given the time to really shine.
Yeah. With this being said, though, like, it was pretty obvious that Cobb wasn't going over.
No, not a chance. Not with all the Bullet Club members currently having all the titles except the Never title. Goto got a lot of heat during that match.
Who do you reckon? Do you reckon Bullet Club's gonna end up with the Never title or not?
Oh man, I don't see Marty taking it. Maybe Hangman Page will be the next guy. I could totally see that. Hangman Page is making a big name for himself in New Japan, especially with his current G1 performances. But they're in different blocks, so that kind of makes it a little bit different. Maybe come Wrestle Kingdom they'll have a match against each other. I could see that working.
Maybe. All right. Where do we want to start here? The Art of No Selling, dude.
The Dragon Lee versus Hiromu Takahashi Junior Heavyweight title match.
Yeah.
Oh.
Look, we probably should say Takahashi did get seriously hurt in this match, and all the best to him in his recovery. Apparently, it was a broken neck.
He does not need surgery, though.
True, but I still don't know what they're doing with the Junior Heavyweight title.
Probably just waiting for him to get healthy again, because there's plenty of time for him to heal.
Yeah, but I thought that Japan would have stripped him maybe and put it onto someone else, because it's just then again they've got the IC title and Jericho and he doesn't show up at all.
Exactly. I don't think that's totally necessary. The point of this match was,
if I was going to take it off him though, I would put it onto either Skull or Ishimori, just for that thing which we'll get into in a bit.
Right. So Dragon Lee and Hiromu, they have this habit going back to their CMLL rivalry, the Mask versus Mask, LIJ. They have this habit of one-upping each other every time. They want to do something more. They want to do something with more energy. They want to.
It was going to be hard to one-up the match they had at the Best of the Super Juniors.
They really wanted to do more than what they showed us, and from an entertainment perspective, they definitely met that high bar they set for themselves. But from my perspective, from a wrestling standpoint, the fact that nothing was sold the entire time, it was just exchanging moves rather than they weren't really countering anything. There was at one point where they had an exchange of hard German suplexes, basically throwing each other on their neck and head, and then they would just get up and do it again. It was a lot like that. So, was I entertained? Yes. Did I enjoy the match? No. It didn't feel like a wrestling match.
I liked it.
So, the crowd loved it. It was very high energy. Hiromu won off a single time bomb, the only move that was sold in the entire match. And I was convinced at the end of it to get them checked for concussions. And as it turns out, as Dragon Lee did a Phoenix Bomb on Hiromu, he basically made him land on his head and skid across, breaking his neck. Totally exhausting, just botched move. I do like the fact that it was entirely different from any of their matches I've seen before, especially, as you said, Jay, their Best of Super Juniors.
Well, this was Dragon Lee's like third or fourth match in like a day or two.
Insane.
Because he'd be competing in King of the Indies, which I'm pretty sure he won.
No, Flip Gordon won, I think.
Did he? I thought the Dragon Lee won. No, ultimately it doesn't matter. It's just like Dragon Lee had dehydration or something at the end of this match too, and like they honestly did try to kill each other for entertainment, and I appreciate that, but like, calm down, guys. You don't need to put on a 10-star match every time you step in the ring against each other.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it though. I will admit that. It's, as I said, it's a shame what happened to Takahashi, but it's wrestling. Injuries are going to happen. It's just unfortunate when they do.
Absolutely. That's well said. We'll take us into that next match, Jay.
So, dude, Knife Pervert versus Juice Robinson.
All right. What's his actual name?
I loved this match. What was that?
What's his actual name?
Knife Pervert.
Jay, come on.
Jay White.
There we go. Thank you.
Why can't I call him Knife Pervert?
I don't like that name.
Fine. Yeah, Jay White versus Juice Robinson, dude. Did you like this match? I absolutely adored this match. It was fantastic. And like leading up to this match, Juice was cutting some of the best promos of his career. And there was one particular line that stood out to me in this whole build-up. And he said he can roll up pretty much anybody out of nowhere.
He is capable.
He is capable. He's rolled up Kenny Omega. He's rolled up Naito. Rolled up Big Michael Elgin. And that one line leading up to this thing is stuck in my head. Because wouldn't you know it, Juice goes over with a roll-up.
It was, and this is what, I usually hate roll-up finishers, especially at pay-per-views. That's what I see constantly in WWE women booking. It's always a roll-up, or a cheap finisher with no momentum change, etc. This made sense here because of how the match was told, how the heel work along Jay White was doing. The build was slow. Overcoming the odds from Juice Robinson with his kayfabe broken hand, because that was also part of the work, was Jay White broke Juice Robinson's hand on the road to the G1 special, which just added to the match.
Right. Yeah, no, I completely agree. There was the accidental thing with the barricade and friggin' JR and the other dude, I've forgotten his name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the security rails aren't Just Barnett. The security rails aren't like tied together in any way, so when Jay White was throwing Juice against the railings, they were exploding. Just flying everywhere.
Dude, freaking JR broke some ribs too.
That's what he claims.
Or cracked him or something. That's crazy.
Jay White's character work here with the heel was fantastic. Taunting to the crowd at the right times, stomping on Juice and then looking at the crowd the wrong way. Juice trying to valiantly fight back and essentially just Jay White taunting him the whole time. It was fucking fantastic. Every move felt protected. This felt like this is how you build up a babyface character in Juice Robinson.
Yep.
It's I have never seen anything like this in New Japan before. And
yeah, no, neither have I.
Having this kind of match between both young guys, coming up in the New Japan dojo, being foreigners outside Japan, wrestling for a foreign title in America. Like, this is what a Western audience, this is the kind of match a Western audience has grown accustomed to with WWE, WCW, Ring of Honor over the years, with a lot of story being told. All the story here was told in the ring. And it was told in a way that was very easy to understand and very easy to get behind. You know who you're supposed to hate and how he was doing it, and you know who you're supposed to love and how he was doing it. It was utterly brilliant. This was, in my opinion, both wrestlers here had their career-defining type match, and it only helps their case for the future. And then, sure as shit, what have we seen since then? As a little spoiler for the G1, Jay White's going over. Heel work is getting better and better, and Juice Robinson is even more of a babyface loved, and he's not even winning matches.
Dude, I love Jay White's new finisher, the Shinsuke Nakamura special.
Oh boy, everything involves a low blow now. But the difference here is it feels organic.
Yeah, it does.
What Shinsuke is going for in WWE is so forced. Everything's super telegraphed. You know it's coming. It's not played off, and it's overdone basically. And Jay White doing it here. What did he hit? He hit a couple low blows, and then he gets as another spoiler to the G1. He gets to Minoru Suzuki, and you ain't pulling that shit on him. Sure as hell, he died.
Yeah. Probably should mention too that Juice had a broken hand. We completely brushed over that.
No, I mentioned it.
I didn't.
It was mentioned.
Do you want to take us through the main event, sir? My dog's barking at something. Back in a moment.
Sure, I can get us going here. So the main event was Kenny Omega versus Cody Rhodes for the IWGP title, the big heavyweight title in Japan. The match served its purpose. I felt it was a little drawn out and had some hardcore spots, such as Omega double stomped through a table that was set up over the barricade. There was at one point Cody pulls a ladder out and sets it up next to the ring. There was also a table on the outside, a super tall ladder. It looked like it was set up for Cody to put Omega through the table off the ladder. Instead, it was reversed to a spot inside the ring. There was a wild miss spot at the end of Omega trying to powerbomb Cody from outside the ring, from inside the ring to the outside through the table, but that table just was not gonna break. He just goes thump right off it. It looked painful. Even if it was drawn out, the pace seemed right, where these big spots, the major spots came at momentum-changing times. And this speaks to Cody as a wrestler and how his upbringing and his style works for these kind of things. I thought this was a good decision how this match was supposed to go down. At one point, Cody had the title and he was going to hit Omega with it, while the Young Bucks were pre-match were telling Omega to not kill Cody. Remember, you guys used to be friends. They even went to they were yelling at Cody in the match. No, don't do it. He's your friend. Cody decided not to hit Omega with the belt, hinting at a possible face turn. There were even moments of Kenny Omega hesitating to hit the V trigger. Very reminiscent of the Golden Lovers versus Young Bucks match earlier this year at Strong Style Evolved. So, a lot of continuity in the match. What I struggled to get behind here, and Cody had a good promo going into the match saying, a lot of people criticize him for his bell-to-bell work. I'm not totally criticizing it. What I am criticizing is he still feels like a shackled WWE wrestler. I wanted to see more offense on Cody against Omega, because a lot of Omega matches are very much he's in control, especially now at this point in career. He's no longer the young boy, he's no longer in the junior division. He's the heavyweight champion. I would have loved to see Cody pull out some new maneuvers. Make it seem like he's not a 4 moves of doom wrestler anymore. I use that term 4 moves of doom because if you're not a watcher of WWE, a lot of wrestlers just get their few signature moves, then it's a lot of punching and kicks, nothing else, hit their finisher, and we're done here. Cody
usually
Rhodes
dive to the outside when there's going to be an ad break too.
Right, yeah. And then they go into just the worst submission rest holds you've ever seen in your life. Cody still seems like that shackled wrestler. I was really anticipating here for him to break out and have the match that redefines him. Kind of like
Didn't
Chris Jericho.
It
really didn't. Even though the spots were good and Cody put on a good performance, he still feels like that same guy to me. And I think that's what a lot of people that are more familiar with the New Japan style and Ring of Honor style, etc., that's not the wrestler they want to see.
Correct.
They want to see more. And I totally understand that. I want to see more. That's actually a problem with WWE right now when you watch a pay-per-view. You can tell the wrestlers are limited. They aren't doing what they're capable of. It's a major criticism. I think it's right to totally have that. So, Omega ends up winning. Both guys are totally exhausted. Good little post-promo. They're changing the world type thing. Omega and the Bucks are walking out. The Tongans are with them, it looks like. And thank God I didn't turn this off, because I was just kind of doing other stuff. And then I turn around and holy shit, the Guerrillas of Destiny, the Tongans, turn heel and beat the shit out of the other members of the Bullet Club.
Yes, they do. Yes,
very reminiscent of WCW Wolfpack when they turned on the NWO to come out with their own faction.
Where that almost seems like what they're going for, because if you notice in the G1, dude, they're referring to Kenny and Hangman as like Bullet Club Elite, and they're referring to Fale and Tama as Bullet Club OGs.
Yeah, just like the Outsiders and the New World Order post. So,
yep.
Very cool, and I totally see the correlations and comparisons. Like, it's 100% to it, and that's okay. The difference being is this was done a lot more organically than I remember what WCW NWO did back in the day. So, really cool how there was a lot of gang mentality and blood thicker than water type stuff going on. I liked how the Tongans didn't totally betray everybody. They specifically picked out the Young Bucks and Omega as the Elite, and then they waited for everybody else to come out and make their decision. So when
friggin' Taka Yujiro and Chase checked on Kenny and that, they're like, all right, you're with the Elite. And when Hangman Page checked on him, it's like, you're with the Elite. Yep.
Cody comes out hobbling after his match. They offer him up a chair, to turn, and there's Kenny's face just totally selling. No, don't do it, Cody. No, we're friends. Oh, God.
I'm dying already.
Yeah, Cody tries to protect the Elite. Tongans turn on him, too. Like, it all made sense. I really loved it. It's the best storyline, faction storyline that you can imagine. Now, if you're a hardcore New Japan fan, you know exactly where this is going to a lot of DQ matches, a lot of infighting, a lot of interferences. That's very Western wrestling, not Japanese wrestling. I totally see the criticism behind that. But luckily, that's only one faction, not all of them. We're seeing a very much different storyline with post Jay White, with how he wants to take over Chaos from Okada, because Okada's going through his midlife post-title crisis, and Jay White's on the run. So,
yeah,
not interfering in matches, but a very much different type. So there's a lot of different storylines happening, and they're not mirroring each other. Back to just comparing what everybody watches WWE. You watch one storyline unfold on Raw, it's almost like a mirror on SmackDown.
Yeah, for sure. And then, you're looking at LIJ and Suzuki-gun and Taguchi, and they got nothing wrong with their factions at the moment.
Yeah, well, the most interesting thing out of LIJ is Sonata and Naito are in the same block for the G1. So, again,
it's going to be interesting to see. I wouldn't be surprised if Sonata ends up beating Naito.
I think that's a good prediction. 100%.
Yeah.
Much like Yano, surprisingly rolling up random people. Specifically, the guys you think can't be beaten.
I love the fact that friggin' Ishii had to resort to cheating to beat Yano.
Oh, that was good. So we'll get it. And for those wondering why we're not covering the G1 on this podcast, that could be a whole podcast by itself, mixed in with just a couple other things, because that's a lot to unfold.
If you want to listen to our thoughts we've already had, the episode 19 of SmackDown, JD and I went over the first, I think it's 6 days of the G1, not in depth, but just to hear our thoughts.
Yeah, a much more in-depth overall thoughts of the G1 will be in the next episode of the Wrestlecast, episode 9. And we'll be breaking down some of the best matches and storylines going on from the G1. With that, G1 Special was a fantastic pay-per-view. I enjoyed every match from bottom to top of the card.
Yeah, I said no. Everything was good. Nothing felt like it didn't need to be there.
So, with that, I'm gonna play this next drop here, and we're gonna go into WWE Extreme Rules.
Can I just off myself now, or do I actually need to do this?
You actually need to do this. And I did play the Undertaker's gong as we go into this. So, and it wasn't Talkie Taker; it was just the gong.
What was that?
And it wasn't Talkie Taker, it was just the gong.
You've done it now.
I have done it now because we got to talk about WWE Extreme Rules, which took place on July 15th. So this is the most recent pay-per-view we're getting to, and it seems to be a theme of the podcast. Anytime WWE has their monthly pay-per-view, that seems to be the time to have an episode. So,
yeah.
It kind of correlates with major events. I think after the G1, though, we're definitely going to have an episode before SummerSlam. For sure. There's no doubt behind that.
Yeah, so what do you want to start on this?
Oh. There's not much to talk about without bitching about the entire card, so why don't we stick to what's on the agenda of basically the 3 matches that's worth talking about.
Okay, then. I'll take us through the Nakamura versus Hardy. Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy, U.S. title. Low blow, King Shasta, new U.S. champion, and Nakamura.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think of this, Jay?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I'm not going to lie to you. I really enjoyed it.
So, I think we mentioned that you had me on, I believe, your podcast, and we talked about this. Am I right?
Yeah, we did. We did that the day of the pay-per-view. Yeah. I still love it.
So, we came to find out later that Nax and Hardy had a rematch on SmackDown 2 days later. Why couldn't they, and Randy Orton interferes in that, why couldn't that have been at Extreme Rules? I don't understand. Because going into it, we figured Hardy was too hurt to compete, and that kind of made sense to why this match happened, but then 2 days later, he's fine enough to wrestle a decent enough match. It's probably the best SmackDown I've seen in good God years. It's the only SmackDown I've seen in good God years. I don't know why I was compelled to watch it that night. Oh no, I didn't watch it. I watched Raw. Never mind. I watched highlights of SmackDown. Anyways, 2 days rest isn't gonna do it that bad. You could have easily gotten rid of the Corbin Balor match from earlier that night, and that match went on way too long, and and just had this one instead.
Yeah, we could have.
You could have booked it where Nax won the title with Randy Orton interfering in some way, and then he does his creepy little heel stuff afterwards. I think that would have been a much better decision, because as much as I'm excited for Nakamura as US champ, as we've already seen, they're not doing anything really with it at all.
It almost feels like he could be transitional and just hold the belt for Randy to take it.
Isn't that gross?
Mm-hmm.
It really just goes into that whole thing, is WWE ever going to book a foreigner the right way? And Yeah, he has a belt. That's nice to see. But the belt, to me, doesn't mean anything until he actually is able to do something with it. Otherwise, it's a belt, not a title. A belt holds up pants.
Yeah, it's a consolation prize. You really should have taken the WWE title at least one of those times versus AJ. Like, even if you held it for a month, it would have done so much more than just giving the US title.
Yeah. So
Alrighty.
there
what
was.
Did you think of Rusev versus Styles?
Well, before we get into Rusev Styles, because I actually liked that match, there was Kevin Owens took the bump of the night being pushed off from the top of the cage to the table. Poor guy. He's
the best of luck spot of the night.
The best of luck in your future endeavors type thing. KO came out on Raw, and I guess the feud's going to... Everything from Extreme Rules is continuing. I don't understand. I don't understand.
I think we're going to get a rematch between friggin' Ziggles and Seth, and I think we're going to get a rematch between KO and Braun.
KO came out on Raw, apparently, according to Twitter, and said he's going to, like, ruin Braun's dreams. So that just tells me that the feud is continuing, and he's going to... Braun's going to try and cash in, and KO's going to cost him from getting the title.
You know, that'd be different.
It would be, but it's stupid, because... What does that lead us into thinking for SummerSlam? Because that leads us into this match of Roman versus Lashley, and just referencing what Rad and I talked about on the previous cast, an ideal and only possible way this match works is if Roman beats up Lashley for a while, hits his key moves, then momentum switch to Lashley into Dominator mode, finishing off Roman with a spear. That didn't quite happen like that. It was mostly Roman doing his signature moves, and then all of a sudden... Lashley does his signature moves. It was very 50-50. And then a spear out of nowhere from Lashley, and it was weak as fuck.
There was a pretty good best of luck spot of the night in this, too, with the friggin' attitude adjustment over the rope.
That was cool. Big thump on the ground by Lashley. Oof.
I'm guessing he missed the top rope to grab himself and, like, not splat?
No, I think he meant to splat.
Well, yeah, like I said, best of luck.
Ow. I wish we would have seen, and I said this in the last podcast with Rad, and he agreed, Lashley would toss Roman out of the ring after he pinned him. Kind of like, get out of my yard type thing. That didn't happen. He just kind of walked out, bitch. And then as we came to find out on Raw the very next night, it meant nothing. This match meant zilch. They had two triple threat matches, number one contenders. Roman on one end, Lashley on the other. They both won their spots. So and then they have a match tonight on Raw.
Yeah, don't spoil that for me because I still need to watch Raw and like go into a blind and get ready for my thoughts of rage.
I don't know what happened, but what was the point of the match at Extreme Rules? You could have just tossed that totally away, and then have your Raw stuff. Continue the feud building. I don't know. It made no sense to me. This is why CJ. This is why we here at the Red Leaf Retrocast take a couple weeks to look at kind of fallout, and it gives us more perspective on the match we watched.
So are you saying that I'm doing it incorrectly?
No, that's what most you do. What most people do. We're just doing it differently here.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So what do you think of this whole like Lashley Roman thing from the match and then what we've seen?
Do I have to care?
Well, WWE's trying to make it so you care.
But I don't. Like, there's very little in WWE that I actually care about it. Look, if I could be a New Japan podcast, I'll be a New Japan podcast. I just can't be a New Japan podcast and like actually get followers, you know what I mean? Like, you need to cover WWE. It's just, it's really freaking bad, and there's like nothing good going at the moment.
It's rough. It'll be interesting come SummerSlam, whether it's Lesnar against Roman or Lashley or both. And
it'll be both, guaranteed. I can almost put money on it that it'll be both.
It's screaming double pin, isn't it?
It's screaming that Roman pins Lashley and then gets cashed in on by Braun.
I think Braun is going to show up at SummerSlam because Lesnar's there, and he's going to cash in and insert himself into the match.
Also, what's the bet that like Dean shows up at SummerSlam and costs Seth whatever match he's in?
I don't know. I think
Apparently we are going to
Seth,
get the proper lunatic fringe when he returns.
yeah, John Moxley, never been a fan.
I like that was a spot they did in CZW, I think, where instead of using thumbtacks, they use Lego, because Lego is like just it sucks.
That sounds ouch.
Can I power slam you onto some Lego?
No, because I stepped on Legos as a kid by accident, and that shit hurts monkey balls.
Yeah, it does. It's just funny, like, it's like, oh yeah, no thumbtacks, we're extreme, here's some Lego.
Here's some Legos. I don't know, I've never been a deathmatch type guy. I do like the hardcore type match every now and again, if it's executed right. But like, deathmatch where it's totally hardcore ECW, electric barbed wire, light tubes, like, no, that's taking it too far.
How was the I know we're not covering it today, but how was the Eddie Edwards Tommy Dreamer hardcore match?
Being that it was the first of 3 on the card, if it was later, I would have looked at it as it wasn't very good, but because it was early on the card, I enjoyed it.
It's funny how things work out like that, eh?
Yeah, it's funny when you book things correctly in an order that it does make a difference.
Dude, we book things pretty well too.
Yeah. So Rusev Styles. I went into so Jay, if you remember me saying, I went into this match wanting a 20+ minute career-defining match for Rusev, because none of us thought he was taking the title off Styles.
That is true, but that did start to circulate a rumor that they might do a whole thing with Rusev, but like it probably just wasn't going to happen. I had no faith in it.
Yeah, I had no faith in it either. That's why I just wanted to see these two go at it for 20+ minutes. Because when I think of Rusev, as much as I like the guy and his charisma and what he brings to the table, an actual wrestling match around Rusev, I can't really think of one that he sticks out in. I remember him coming out in a tank, but I don't remember the match at all. I remember him
coming out of the tank too. That was pretty cool.
I remember him in, I think there was a Hell in a Cell match against Roman Reigns where he had the accolade on Reigns with chains, and he still lost.
I think I remember something like that. I remember the cell match. I remember he took a spear off the apron, or maybe that was Wyatt against Reigns in a cell.
I think. Well, the point is Rusev lost. I remember that. So he tends to lose all the time. So he needs a defining match. And what we got here was a 17-minute match. I mean, it was a decent pace. Rusev was selling like a champ. Styles was going after the leg, kicking it hard, going for the calf crusher, pulling out a decent move, and Rusev sold it like a champ. It's the best limb selling I've seen in WWE in quite some time.
Yeah.
There was only a couple near falls though. That got you. There was a one Machka kick from Rusev on Styles. That seemed to be what got everybody out of their seat.
It's because everyone thought that like it was going over.
Well, I was like, okay, now I gotta pay attention, because you get one near fall. I didn't think one Machka kick was gonna put away Styles, but I thought it could have been the beginning of something more. But instead, then we get a 450 from AJ almost immediately, if memory serves. And Rusev brilliantly kicks out at the last millisecond, like Undertaker-esque levels of near fall.
I'm not surprised he kicked out of that. I thought that was the end.
Exactly. That's how good that kick out was. It's definitely a lost art. He wasn't like looking at the ref like Dean Ambrose does, like eye to eyes with the ref, waiting for him to go down. If this match was longer and it had a couple more falls, like English distracts Styles of the ref, and Rusev hits another Machka kick, and he's got him in the accolade and he's on one knee like he did at one point, and Styles grasps at the last second to get out of it, or just anything. There wasn't any of that. It was just the one kick and one 450. That led to a phenomenal forearm and then done.
Yeah.
There was just nothing that got me to truly believe Rusev was going to win this match.
He didn't really have the standout match we were hoping for, did he?
No, I'm not saying it was a bad match. I'm saying it was good. In fact, I think it was the best on the card. The card was shit. But the match was good. It wasn't great, though, because of aforementioned... Everything, sure. So where does Rusev go from here? Just like what I just said with the Sugiura Keno match when we were talking about Pro Wrestling Noah. Where does Rusev go? Unfortunately, I think he's just going to go into this lame feud with Aiden English and end Rusev Day.
Yeah, possibly.
It's like that's all they... Well, why can't he have a... This would be my ideal, Jay. Almas just came off finally fucking got a decent debut.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good against Styles. That was a solid TV match.
Solid TV match. It served its purpose. Almas is here, took the champ to school, or whatever analogy you want to use. Have them fight and become the #1 contender for Nakamura's US title.
I don't know, we're going to get a triple threat between Hardy, Randy, and Nakamura, where Randy's going to take
That's fucking stupid. The way it's built, you should have Randy against Hardy in a feud, and that could be your SmackDown feud for a while. Then you
can't have 2 or 3 foreigners going after the US title.
Yeah, it's WWE logic. You can't just do that. They're wrestlers. There's probably more wrestlers, more foreigners than they know what to do with, and they obviously don't know what to do with any of them. None of them. Anyway, I'm getting way too negative. Ziggler Rollins main event, IC title match, 30-minute Iron Man match. Why it was 30 minutes, I will never know.
The matches that they had on Raw went longer than 30 minutes, so 30 minutes is long enough.
This was bizarre. It was fine.
Yeah, why would the face go up 3-0 so early?
I don't know. As soon as that happened, the crowd... I mean, the pay-per-view was, what, 4.5 hours already at that point?
Something like that. Look,
Something
all I can
like
remember
that?
from this match was the crowd. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Honk!
The whole time.
They booed when they took the freaking clock down and cheered when the clock came back up.
Yeah. No, they were totally out of it. They were exhausted. The Rusev Styles match should have been last. The Ziggler Rollins match should have been first. Get the crowd hyped.
Here's the thing, like, the Ziggler Rollins match was supposed to be first. Triple H changed things around on the show because originally the main event was going to be Lashley versus Roman.
Oh, that would have been horrible.
So blame Triple H for the weird running order of this show. Like, everyone's saying that he's going to be fantastic when he takes over the company, which he probably will. He had to rebook all the crap that Vince has been doing.
And he tried his best with the shit that was in front of him.
True, so... Yeah.
It was... The match got going quick enough for the two workhorses. Rollins gets 2 quick pins. Drew interferes, 3-0, 8 minutes in. What the hell? I was like, you blew your... Because the crowd wasn't dead yet. They were just exhausted. It was almost like they were looking for a reason to not give a shit anymore, you know?
Pretty much.
And
now, where do you stand on that? Like, if the crowd pays to go there and they're not being entertained or they're exhausted or whatnot, do you give them permission to, like, screw around with the timer, like play with the beach ball? Where do you stand on all that?
Well, they can do whatever they want. They're paying customers.
Thank you. I agree with that too. Like, it's not their fault that they went there, got bored. Like, they shouldn't go there to get bored. They should go there to get entertained. It's WWE's own fault.
Toronto, so Extreme Rules was in Pittsburgh. Arguably one of the most smarky crowds out there next to Philadelphia, right? Then you had Slammiversary Impact in Toronto, the bizarro world of the wrestling world, according to WWE, where they don't give a shit about really fan reactions at all.
Yep.
If you have Impact being able to come back from the dead twice or 3 times over now, and then get a Toronto crowd over that much, meanwhile WWE can't get over a Pittsburgh crowd on Extreme Rules, it's really odd. What's
so extreme about this night, just out of curiosity? Like, nothing really warranted the name of Extreme Rules.
No, it's just a name. It's just a name.
It's branding at this point. I remember back.
Well, everything in WWE is branding. That's all it is.
I remember back when I think it was in 2008, like it WWE One Night Stand Extreme Rules or Extreme Rules One Night Stand, or whatever it was called. The main event of that was Edge versus Undertaker in a friggin' TLC match, and the end of that match had Undertaker going from the middle of the ring, like going for the title. Edge pushed him off the ladder. He went through 4 tables from the top of the ladder to the outside of the ring, and then Edge retained the title. Or regained the title, or whatever it was.
Yeah, nuts. Absolutely nuts.
And like that was also the night where Randy broke his collarbone. That was also the night where what else happened on that show? And we had Jeff Hardy do a swanton off the top of a truck onto Umaga for the opening match.
That sounds pretty extreme.
It's crazy to think that 10 years later, with essentially the same pay-per-view concept, that we've got this.
A lot's changed in the last 10 years, and I put it up to 3 things. I put it up to marketing, because that's all they want to do now.
Mm-hmm.
Complacency, because once 2009 hit, that's when a lot of companies were either coming out of their downturn or they were going into the downturn. In this case, Impact / TNA at the time. So 10 years later, they've had no competition. They have no reason to truly care or be invested. They're still stuck in the old ways. And this Iron Man match was unfortunately subject to the crowd being who they were. And I don't blame the crowd. It was a long night. It was filled with just mundane nonsense matches, not worth investing into, no build towards anything. The biggest build was Ziggler Rollins.
Yep.
That, as much as WWE wants us to believe Roman Lashley was the biggest build, they had nothing to fight for except who's the biggest dog.
Yep.
Ziggler and Rollins had the biggest thing to fight for. I would still say the WWE title was bigger to fight for, but we knew who was winning that match. So the booking for me made sense to put the IC title match last, but the night was too long.
For sure.
Everything was taken out of the crowd, and it was quite unfortunate. So basically, to finish up this match here, Rollins goes up 3-0 via interference from McIntyre. McIntyre then beats the hell out of Rollins. Ziggler gets 2 quick pins, one off of the beatdown. Then he hits a super kick, 2, and then he gets a zigzag about a couple minutes later. So you have 6 falls in about a 10-15 minute span.
You know, if they followed the rules correctly, Seth would have been up like 47-0, because like each hit should have been another DQ.
Oh, well, I mean, logic. It's wrestling logic. I don't really mind that.
Pretty much.
Get out of the ring, that's only 1 DQ, you know, whatever. And then once that 6th fall happened, these guys can go 30 minutes easy. They didn't need to do this crazy little lazy headlock rest hold sequence. It's almost like they were told to do that. To kind of...
Well, they were. Like, every match is scripted out.
Not necessarily. A lot has to do with the wrestlers' chemistry with each other and what they want to do. This looked blatantly like a scripted moment where, okay, you've reached the halfway point, let's have a lull period, and then build it back up again. Mm-hmm. I think that part was scripted. Everything else is up to the wrestlers and what they're supposed to do. So not really any pin attempts, no drama being built. That's where the crowd just started getting crazy antsy. It's like, can we just go home? Like, the match just wasn't built well. I don't know if it's Ziggler and Rollins just don't have the chemistry or what. So then it ends 4-4. They each get a couple pin. Rollins goes for the blackout stomp, and crowd stops. Of course, Angle, being from Pittsburgh, comes out, haha, cheap pop, WWE 101. Goes, nope, sudden death. May I remind you, in 2016, the very last Iron Man match on the main roster was Charlotte against Banks. They went 30 minutes, basically the same thing. Not with the whole 3-0 nonsense, but goes to sudden death. So it's like, if we're going to get these matches and they're going to end it the same way and then go to sudden death, and then have a quick ass finish, that's lazy booking.
The funniest thing is about this, if Seth had to just let McIntyre hit him, he'll be IC champion right now.
Yeah. Sure would have. It was such an like, okay, if you're gonna end a match like this, why is it last? Because you know that's not gonna make any crowd happy after all of that.
Look, I'm not gonna defend the Roman Lashley match, but at least that had a clean win.
At least it was that's why the Styles Rusev match should have been last. Because if you're gonna end this Iron Man match like this, like what we saw, where Drew, who was kicked from ringside, immediately interfere and then zigzag over in 10 seconds? Unacceptable. That is just not a good booking decision. I can't agree with that.
Yep.
The match wasn't as bad as the crowd was making it out to be, but when you put the time frame together, the night together, the finish together, then in that perspective, it wasn't good. The pay-per-view was odd. Just a little bit too much comedy with the matches. The women matches were absolute trash. Don't even want to talk about them. I'm so over it. Each match felt dull, nothing to be invested in. And then the crowd just hijacked the show. They were clearly bored. It was a spectacle to see where WWE is compared to all the other pay-per-views we talked about. Revolution Pro in the UK, New Japan with the G1 special. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
Dude, even those Noah pay-per-views, I wouldn't have any idea what's going on, but at least those sound entertaining.
Yeah. So, let me just play this one last drop here. Unless you have any final thoughts on Extreme Rules.
I find going to the toilet more entertaining.
Do you want to take a quick toilet break? Then we can finish up the podcast?
No, that was just me saying that the thing was crap.
Yeah. Oh, I got you. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play this last drop here and then quickly go through Thunder.
Okie dokie.
Alrighty. So, WCW Episode Thunder, Episode 4. WCW Episode Thunder, Episode 4. Right. Okay, you got me. This was the Fallout show from the pay-per-view Sold Out. Are you familiar with WCW, Thunder, and these pay-per-views of the past, Jay?
Not really. I'm familiar with the New Blood era, but that is about it.
Okay. So then, I'll just quickly run through this, get my quick comments in, and maybe have some nostalgia, and we should be out of here in about 10 minutes.
Okay. So
Sold Out, Chris Jericho won the Cruiserweight title from Mysterio in decent fashion, while the rest of the card was kind of meh. But Sold Out was Rad and I were really hyped because we've covered every episode of Thunder going into Sold Out. Ended up watching it. There were a couple good matches. The build of each feud was investable, if that's even a word. It was worth investing in. Dusty Rhodes turns on the. This was the one where Dusty Rhodes turns to the NWO while Zbyszko just couldn't wrestle in today's world. Zbyszko was against Scott Hall, and Dusty Rhodes was kind of ringside and interfered. And woe is you, Dusty! Oh no! I was kind of surprised because Dusty Rhodes was super babyface and whatnot. I was just more disappointed in Zbyszko being. This is a good example of a wrestler from the 70s and 80s just not being able to compete in the modern era at the time. Bret Hart versus Ric Flair goes 20 minutes of showcasing basically their basic moveset. And then Flair taps out clean to the sharpshooter. It was just two guys going at it with their basics. Not a blow-away match that I'm sure everybody was expecting at the time. But it got the point across of how good these guys are at their craft.
Right.
Yeah. And then Nash, this is the infamous now, Kevin Nash almost kills Giant, aka Big Show, with a botched jackknife powerbomb on Big Show's head.
So this was the best of luck spot that night?
It was. The match wasn't as good as you would expect, but the build again was worth it. And then the main event was total shit. Total shit. It was a waste of time. Luger against Macho Man Randy Savage, just a bunch of NWO nonsense, no title, just garbage. The best match on the night was, surprisingly enough, the opening Lucha Fest of all the like CMLL guys, of La Parka hitting everybody with a chair at the end of the match. This was the one that opened the pay-per-view. And he stands on the chair, does like a Karate Kid crane, puts the chair in his armpits, and then nonchalantly walks out of the ring. Fantastic stuff. So that takes...
still using that chair today.
He still is. He's still the chairman to this very day, and it's fantastic. I actually just covered a CMLL match, him against Rush, I think a podcast or two ago. Rush. Yeah, and they're going to have... they're building up to a big hair versus mask match. Big time.
So we got La Parka versus Rusho Los Ingobernag.
LIJ. LI.
Yep. Well, it's not LIJ.
It's just lie. So this takes us into episode 4 of Thunder. They have a new set. Looks freaking awesome. They finally got like a little budget going on. Night starts with a wrestling match. What a concept. Where it's DDP, the US champ, versus Sick Boy of Raven's Flock. Not much to say here.
That's a pretty sick name there.
Yeah, Sick Boy. DDP wins via a rising diamond cutter, which was really sweet. And what I mean with that,
essentially just an RKO? Like a rising diamond cutter would be, I'm assuming, a jumping diamond cutter?
Well, the difference is, no, he, like DDP kind of throws him in the air and then just catches him on the way down. A diamond cutter doesn't require jumping in the air. You just take their head.
I know, but like I thought that's what you meant by
really
rising diamond cutter. So it's essentially like the RKO that friggin' Randy hit on Evan Bourne off the Starship, the shooting star.
Yeah. Think of it in the same realm as that, but without flipping. Right after that, the commissioner comes out to fine Kevin Nash $50,000 because they banned his jackknife powerbomb on Nitro. And this goes into Kevin Nash being a super just I don't give a shit type guy. They even arrested him for using the powerbomb on Nitro. This is really funny. After that, Mang King Haku with Jimmy Hart faces Hacksaw Jim Duggan. So I got to see him young from 20 years ago. Big man type match. Jimmy Hart distracts the ref. Duggan cracks Mang over the back with his 2x4, but it doesn't affect Mang. Doesn't affect the big man. Puts Duggan in the Tongan death grip for 1, 2, 3.
I'm glad to say that he's still going around today. Like with New Japan, his sons beating up Bullet Club.
Oh my god, it was good. It was quite funny to see that. And then I watched the G1 special, like, after I had watched this episode of Thunder, so it was really funny when I saw King Haku, and I was like, where's the Tongan death grip?
You have to see the Tongan death grip too.
And we got to see it at the G1 special, we did.
Yep.
Followed by Raven versus Marty Jannetty. Raven really going into the against the establishment persona. Quite love it. I think that Sonya Deville should be the new Raven. She pulled it off in a photo shoot of old ECW stars pretty recently, and looks great. She should definitely put on that persona. So coming off Raven's loss to Benoit at Sold Out, he gained some momentum by beating Marty Jannetty with his DDT. Not bad. Not much else to say. I believe it was Marty Jannetty's second match since signing with WCW, so decent babyface. Raven gets over. Followed by Yuji Nagata with Sonny Ono versus Goldberg. Yeah, we know what happens here. Move on.
I'm guessing that Yuji Nagata goes over.
Oh, of course, right? No, it was over in 90 seconds. Say It Ain't So Dusty comes out, cuts a pretty cool promo of the NWO, joins Scott Hall in the ring. Then Scott Hall faces Disco Inferno. Disco Inferno hits a stunner to almost beat Scott Hall. But then Scott Hall beats the crap out of him thereafter.
Right.
Really quick matches. This is why you watch the pay-per-view, to watch the longer matches.
Concept.
The quick matches isn't a new concept, but you could definitely start feeling that they were just kind of going through these matches one after another, while the promos take precedent. But I mean, that's TV. You watch the pay-per-view for the wrestling matches. Unfortunately, Sold Out wasn't good.
Yep.
So then after that, Perry Saturn versus Booker T for the TV. Booker T is the TV title champ. This match didn't have enough time, really. Each hit some of their key moves. Booker T retains the title. Rick Martel comes out and argues some bullshit. It's important to note that Booker T hit his Harlem Hangover. That's his flipping leg drop from the top rope on Martel at Sold Out and gave him a hardcore concussion. So they're trying to like play that up a bit. That unfortunately, that concussion will play into later as we cover more episodes of Thunder. But Martel basically had to retire because of this incident. Yeah. So then now to recap of Nitro, where Savage and Luger happened, about to hit an elbow drop, but Sting drops from the ceiling and puts Savage in the Scorpion Deathlock as Hogan and Hall simply look upon everything happening. They didn't interfere. Pretty wild stuff.
So this is during the time that Sting was injured, or was Sting back and already being champion at this point?
No. Sting's around. This is during the time where the heavyweight title was vacated because of what happened at not Super Bowl, Starrcade. And Sting and Hogan.
Which Starrcade?
97 Starrcade.
So Sting Hogan?
It was Sting Hogan, yeah.
Okay.
So the next couple matches were really cool. Jericho and Eddie Guerrero are in a tag match against Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko. This match was all over the place, but it had some crisp moves, good reversals. You know, there seems to be one match on Thunder each week that we've covered on this podcast where I have a new best match on Thunder to date, and this tag match was definitely one. Benoit taps out Jericho. Right after the match, Benoit cuts a pretty decent promo saying he's going to keep crippling people until someone takes notice, because Okerlund was like, are you the best guy on the roster who's basically never had a title shot? And Benoit's like, you know what, I'm not going to complain or anything, but until someone takes notice of me, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and it will come to me. And then right away, DDP from the audience, like in the upper level there, with a mic in hand, says Benoit's like him, saying the promoters are wrong. Look at me, I'm the current U.S. champion. How about we do this for the U.S. title, you against me? Benoit says name, time, and place, and DDP says next week on Thunder. There you go. Gets us fucking hyped for a match. None of this, I'm on Snapchat, I'm announcing a title match next week for no fucking reason.
That match actually sounds like it would be kind of cool.
I liked how it went down. Benoit wins a tag match. The commentator comes out, basically tells the audience, you should pay attention to this guy. Benoit goes, I'm going to keep crippling people. And then you have the champion go, you know what, you're right. Just like all these promoters back there, think of like the Daniel Bryan type thing. You know, if management won't get behind you, I will make them get behind you. You and me will make this title relevant and put us both on notice. Love it.
Yeah.
That right there got me excited for like everything else going on was fine prior, just okay, you know, just some ongoing stuff. This promo right here got me excited for Thunder next week for the next podcast.
Rightio.
And then to finish it off, Wolfpack rules for the tag titles, which is like Freebird rules. It's Nash and Conan, K-Dog versus the Steiner brothers. Scott Steiner never gets in the match. He's distracted by Buff Bagwell yet again for a pose down. And then the NWO gets DQ'd. Nash then powerbombs the ref. Jackknife powerbombs the ref and then gets taken out in handcuffs. So
cool.
Continuity there from not, you know, you have your story of Thunder, and then you have your continuity of, you know, the Steiner brothers. Scott Steiner being big. He's not Big Papa Pump yet, but Buff Bagwell's really getting on my nerves here at Thunder every week. So that was episode 4 of Thunder. I like the Fallout. I like the episode of Thunder more than Sold Out, but the Fallout was good. It actually got me into it. So any thoughts, Jay?
And
hey,
that took
like 10 minutes.
That friggin' tag match.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, the tag match at Thunder, and then watch what happens post with DDP against Benoit.
Yeah, both of those. They sound really interesting. I might watch it with you during the week.
I kind of watch that on my own time, just kind of sporadically. So that finishes out episode 8 of the main cast, and as I do, Jay, you get to be here and hear my wrestler rankings for each tier. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
As I just run through it right fast. If you've listened to the podcast at this point, please, I love it that you're here. I love it that you've listened and stuck around. I won't have to go through any of the reasons for why these wrestlers are why they're there, because we've already discussed it. So, if you've liked the podcast so far, and if you've liked my man here, Jay, go check out Smack It Down Podcast, iTunes, and many more. I've been on a guest on his show in the past. I enjoy being with it, and I appreciate you coming on, Jay.
Oh, good dude. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it has been. I appreciate you saving my ass. Definitely head on over to iTunes, leave his show a review after you listen to at least 5 episodes. And then head on over to...
take the fantasy bookings and any ones with the Red Leaf Retrocast in the description, because if JD's there, and JD's cool.
Oh, thank you, sir. If you've liked what you've listened to today, head on over to iTunes or Stitcher, leave us a review. It's a good free way to support the podcast. So now it's time for the wrestler rankings, and as soon as I'm done with this, I will play the NWO music and head us out. So...
Well, before you do that, dude, I need to pay up a punishment from WrestleMania.
Oh, are you ready to do that?
In a moment.
Okay. Go for it.
So do your wrestler rankings and then bam.
Okay. So WWE from bottom to top: 10 Seth Rollins, 9 Adam Cole, 8 Hideo Itami, 7 Drew McIntyre, 6 Dolph Ziggler, 5 AJ Styles, 4 Rusev, 3 Tyler Bate, 2 Buddy Murphy, 1 Mustafa Ali. 205 Live kind of knocked it out of the park the last couple weeks with their main events. And if you're confused why Tyler Bate's on there, very good matches in NXT, and he performed quite well in Progress Wrestling that we didn't discuss. Progress hasn't had much to discuss lately, but there are a couple matches that you might want to check out considering the rankings. G1 Special, New Japan Ring of Honor, Tier 2, 10 Firing Squad. I'm just putting them all in a group. Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and Bad Luck Fale. They're all going to be in their own little thing, just like the Young Bucks, not taking them individually. 9 Cody Rhodes, 8 Kenny Omega, 7 Will Ospreay, 6 Kazuchika Okada, 5 Takahashi, 4 Juice Robinson, 3 Ishii, 2 Jay White for his amazing match with Juice Robinson, and 1 Minoru Suzuki. That should come as no surprise. Tier 3, our main indie scene. I have 10 Pentagon, 9 Sami Callihan. They've been killing it in Impact lately. It's must-watch TV. Plus Pentagon's Lucha Underground champion. Decent matches there. 8 Dragon Lee. 7 Tessa Blanchard. She has been killing it on the women indie scene. She won a 30-minute Iron Woman match for the Rise title, and she in fact won, I believe, another women's title in another promotion. I think it was Shine. I'm probably mistaken on that. So yeah, she's at 7. 6 Jake Lee, 5 Jordan Devlin. Had a really good match against Will Ospreay in Progress, where Ospreay healed it up real hard. 4 Keno, 3 Daisuke Harada, 2 Kento Miyahara, 1 Tagashi Sugiura. So, one last thing is the women, which I've been doing. 10 Ivelisse, 9 Kairi Sane, 8 Ember Moon, 7 Su Yung, still champion. 6 Kimberly. I watched this Rise Impact Twitch crossover, and that's where a lot of these come from. 5 is Allie. 4 Katie Harvey, good long singles match in OTT, Belfast. 3 Saraya Knight, great showing versus Su Yung in a hardcore match at that Rise Impact crossover. 2 Mercedes Martinez, the opponent of Tessa Blanchard in that 30-minute Iron Woman match. Tessa Blanchard is number 1. So Tessa Blanchard got a solid 14 points there for her performance. You could say Tessa Blanchard's probably one of the MVPs of this podcast episode. So, Jay, your punishment. Go.
Well, have you explained this in the past, or do I need to give some backstory?
You could just quickly explain it if you want.
So, long story short, JD and I had a little bit of a bet going on via WrestleMania. We did predictions. He beat me. The thing was mainly around Shinsuke versus AJ, and the punishment was I had to say that your podcast was better than mine in a foreign language that I am not fluent in.
Hooray!
Which is essentially French. This has been coming since WrestleMania. It's because every time I've organized to come on, I've had other things pop up because you record for me during the day.
Well, you are all the way in Australia, so it makes sense.
I am. It's currently almost 2 p.m. here.
And it's almost midnight for me. It is midnight for me.
Cool. Cool. Well, dude, all I can say is le Retrocast de Fulavas Rog est Miax Alquos Claqua versus Labas. I probably stuffed that up, but that was in French.
Fantastic. Good enough.
Excellent.
Well, thank you, Jay. I really appreciate you coming on here and listening to me talk. I did like your chiming in for at least a few things here.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Hadn't seen a lot of what she wanted to cover, which is my own fault. I've just had work a lot recently, and I just haven't had time.
It's okay. As long as you sounded excited about what I talked about, then I did my job.
Cool.
Yeah,
like I said, I'm going to have to check out a few of those matches from Noah, because they just sound awesome.
Yep. Simple Google search, and you'll be able to find them. So, as I will do, I will put in updated wrestling rankings overall on Twitter. Definitely follow that at BowlingJD, Red Leaf Retrocast, and you can follow Jay at Smack It Down Podcast or the Viva La JD. Everything's in the description for every episode, so you can just find them easier if you can't spell it. This has been Red Leaf Retrocast, Wrestlecast Episode 8, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace out, guys.
All right.
That wasn't so bad, was it?
No, it was good.
Alrighty.
Fun episode.
Well, I'm going to send you through my raw thingy, and you can edit it. There's a few points throughout it where it picks up you, but like they shouldn't be too hard to get rid of.
All right, as long as it's easy background noise. Yeah, send me a WAV file or an MP3 or whatever it is at my.
Probably send it through to as an MP3.
Okay, cool. That'll work.
Alright, dude. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, send it to me, and I hope I can get this podcast out on Wednesday or Thursday.
Alright, see you, mate.
Later. Thanks for sticking around. And that'll do it.